Don't worry, I know I'm muted. I'll be right with you. There we go. Um, I went to start the show and realized I needed to blow my nose. And I thought, well, YouTube just plays ads at the beginning anyway, so I might as well just mute it for a second and let the audience know I'm not having a senior moment. Oh my gosh. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. Fallen, you have no idea. I don't know if you watched the Trigonometry. We'll get to it in a second. Hi, guys. Welcome to Monkey in the Morning. I'm your host, the Ranting Monkey. Hope you're well. Hope everybody's had a good couple of days. I have been indisposed. And by that I mean I'm in a great deal of pain. I am wonderfully happy, though. I got to see all 5 of my grandchildren this weekend, and it was fucking amazing. I don't get to see them near enough. Got to see most of my children. I didn't get to see my oldest son this weekend, but got to see even my son-in-law came up, which I was surprised. Lady Monkey told me the girls were coming up, and I thought, oh, he must be busy because he has to do things. And I was pleasantly surprised because I like my son-in-law. My son-in-law is funny because he's over the years he's slowly started to try to make fun of me. And it's always funny to watch him do it because you can tell he's like kind of nervous or worried that I'm gonna like freak out or something. It's so funny to watch. The first time he ever did it, he asked me, What age do you start? What age did you start buying old man shoes?" I was like, "Oh, this little fucker's messing with me," which I don't mind. I enjoy the humor, but it's funny watching him dip his toes in. Just commit, man. Don't worry, I won't be offended. I promise. Anyway, yeah, so I had a great weekend. But my body is reminding me that I'm old and cripple, and yeah, so haven't really been around much. I've been in bed anytime I'm not with the family. I did get up tonight about midnight 30ish, I guess, and go on to the internet, and damn it. Actually, in fairness, this one, the video we're going to watch in a little bit, the trigonometry one, that one comes from a couple of days ago. I got to see the beginning of it. I still haven't watched the full thing, and I don't know if I'm going to, but God bless, man. Feminists are stupid. Before we get there, a couple of things to go over. Yesterday was the 4th, which, by the way, I'm not getting on board with this May the 4th be with you shit. Okay. It's stupid. 4th and force don't even sound alike. I'm not buying into that crap. Stop it. Just knock it off. However, we do have to talk about this because what the ever loving fuck. All right, so the White House tweeted this out. It says, "Happy May 4th to all. It's not a holiday. Stop wishing people a happy 4th. Monkey hates fun. Monkey loves fun. I hate dumb. And may the 4th be with you is dumb." If you enjoy it, keep enjoying it. My opinion of it shouldn't ruin that on it. But may the 4th be with you, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting hard to bring Sith Lords, murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, and well-known MS-13 gang members back into our country. You're not the rebellion, you're the empire. May the 4th be with you. And then they included this picture. And my brain just went, I even said on Twitter, this was one of the most confusing things I've seen in a while. And somebody said, "What's confusing about it?" Because I asked, is he the Sith Lord or is he fighting Sith Lords? Can anybody see from that picture why I'd ask if he was the Sith Lord? He's holding a red lightsaber. That's the Sith color. He should have blue or green or fuck it. Go Mace Windu and give him a purple. Don't give him a purple one. Gay lightsabers aren't cool. But get your meme together. Fuck. If you're going to engage in the stupid May the 4th be with you stuff, at least get it right. You're not the rebellion either if you're running around with your red lightsaber. God damn. All right, what other silliness do we have? No, that one actually made me feel. Oh, God. So I am so sad that I missed this for the last 2 weeks. I'm very happy about this. Thank you, Dark Resurrect. Look, the Sith are really good at killing other Sith. It's their whole shtick. Yes, but they're still evil. Thank you for that, feminist $12. If anybody wants to donate $54, I will wish you a May the 4th be with you. Now let me do the math. 5420. What is that? $5.4 million. I need the full 542025, whatever that comes out to, and then I'll do it. Anyway, so this is actually this was posted on my birthday, and I just missed it, which makes me very sad because I would have enjoyed this so much. But a late birthday present to me. Senator Elizabeth Warren is on this talk show, and she's asked this.
Do you regret saying that President Biden had a mental acuity? He had a sharpness to him. You said that up until July of last year.
Now, the reason it's important that she said that up to July is because so many of these people are like, I just didn't notice until the debate that there was anything wrong with him. You didn't notice anything before then? Not one goddamn thing made you go, maybe he's getting a little old. Maybe he's getting a little old.
I said what I believe to be true.
That makes it worse. That makes it, if you were telling me right now that way back in, say, April of last year, you were thinking, no, Biden is as mentally sharp as he ever's been. He's all there. He's the most cogent I've ever seen him. Then you're an idiot. You're a real fucking idiot. Because there's only two possibilities. You're either lying, knowingly or unknowingly. You know, you were believing media hype. Or you're stupid. There's no other explanations. I said what I honestly believed. And she'll tell us in a second that she had met with Biden many times. And you didn't notice nothing? You didn't even notice he couldn't walk? Hey, Nuts, how you doing, sweetie? I did like somebody pointing out to me that you're back on Twitter 2 days after I followed you. Look, I will find my nuts. I will, damn it. Anyway, and I do appreciate somebody bringing it to my attention. But yeah, trust me, I already knew that Miss Nuts was back on Twitter. But anyway, here we go.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
Did you see that? I don't know how well it's coming across. I don't know how well my internet is acting. But during the silence when he asked this question, watch her face here.
Be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
There was a laugh. She's laughing. Okay, I need to give a third possible option. She's in mental decline too. Sorry, Nuts. I know sometimes I call you Star and it drives me nuts too. But yeah, it's a bad habit I try to break. Miss Nuts. Anyway.
I said I had not seen decline.
Then you weren't paying attention. And you shouldn't be out there saying things like, I haven't seen decline in the leader of the free fucking world without actually looking. But remember what they were telling us? Those are cheap fakes. Do you guys remember what led to the cheap fake moment? Why they started using the term cheap fake? What really made it blow up? It was the George Clooney thing where Biden had to be helped off stage. They're like, this is a cheap fake. And then after he has his meltdown at the debate, Clooney comes out and tells us, yeah, I had my doubts at that event. Cheap fakes, you guys.
And I hadn't at that point.
You did not see any decline from 2024 Joe Biden to 2021 Joe Biden?
I don't know who this guy is, but he's proven Jack's point that these guys don't know how linear time works. 2021 should have came first in that sentence.
Not when I said that. You know, the thing is...
Wait for it.
He was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw him.
He was sharp. He was on his feet. That's a pretty low fucking bar right there. He could stand.
Live event. I had meetings with him a couple of times.
Senator, on his feet is not praise.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Her excuse for why she didn't see his cognitive decline was that he could stand up. He could stand up. I thought the cheap fake was you're right. It was the parachute thing, the G7, right? Yeah, you're right. Was that before or after the Clooney thing? That was before the Clooney thing, right? You're absolutely right, Dangerous. I stand corrected.
He can speak in sentences is not praise.
All right. Fair enough. Look, the question is, what are we going to do now?
No, the question is, how are you to be taken seriously on anything you say when you couldn't see the clear mental decline of this guy, and your excuse for not being able to see the clear mental decline is because he could stand sometimes. He could stand sometimes. And fuck, he couldn't even do that half the time. And he sure as fuck couldn't stand straight up most of the time. If he took 2 seconds, he'd be crunched over like me, and I have a spinal cord injury. Oh no, he could stand. I saw his throat move like he was swallowing, so clearly his digestive is working. He occasionally opened his eyes, so yeah, he was perfectly fine, sharp as a tack. I tell you, he stood there smartly. Stood there menacingly. He stood there very intelligently. For fuck's sake. Oh, I watched that clip like 7 times when I first found it. I'm like, did this bitch really say he was there because he could stand? And yeah. And I will give her credit for at least, yeah, you're right. That was stupid. But then she immediately tries to change the subject. No, but now we got to talk about what we're going to do now. Which bothers me because some guy I'd never heard of before. His video pops up. What's his name? Cam something. Apparently he's been hanging out with Tim Pool lately. When I looked at his channel, I saw. I don't care about that, but maybe that's if people would know him from that. What's his name? Cam Higby. He was at a Mayday event, which it's kind of funny to me. Leftists who are all, anti-Russia right now, celebrating Mayday, but whatever. It must be so confusing to be a leftist. But he goes to this event and he's just talking to these people about their signs, and we see all the normal stuff. The only real difference from this and a lot of the other kind of these things that we see is it's mostly old people that he's talking to. A couple of young folks in there, but not one of them gets a single thing right. Not a single thing. Like they take the Garcia guy who gets flown down to El Salvador where he belongs. And they're like, he got deported illegally. He had no due process. We've been over this. But they just repeat what they've heard in the media. And then there was another one where it's like, Donald Trump deported 2-year-olds. Like, no, he didn't. But they refuse to listen to anything. What's up, Jack? How you doing, my friend?
Oh, not too bad. How you doing?
I am ridiculously sore and even more happy.
Oh, alrighty then.
I saw all 5 grandchildren this weekend, bro.
Oh, no wonder you're in a good mood.
I'm in such a good, and my daughter. So yeah, it was, and my son-in-law, and yeah, it was a great time.
Those other people.
Well, I always feel bad about that because I love seeing my children, but the grandchildren are so much more excited to see me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And your kids don't really play Legos anymore.
No, they don't. The grandkids are like, Grandpa, and my kids are like, hey, Dad.
Yeah, like, can I have $20 to borrow your car?
No, it was great though. got to hang out with them, and yeah, so I'm very, very sorry, but very, very happy. So
That's
plus
cool.
we just got to watch Elizabeth Warren tell us that she thought Biden was sharp because he could stand. Did you see that video?
Yeah, what a low bar.
I thought he was perfectly confident. He could stand when I was there.
Yeah, so can Amberlyn Reed. That doesn't mean anything. She's still 550 pounds or whatever. Yeah, so what? That doesn't mean anything. They could prop him in a corner and he'd look like a gibbering plant.
Dangerous. We were talking about the term cheap fake, and so maybe that's why it ran together for me. The Clooney event and the skydiving things happened right on top of each other. So yeah, that's what they were calling cheap fakes. Either way, there was nothing fake about it. This is why Elizabeth Warren wants you to take her seriously as a person, and she couldn't even see the clear mental decline because he could stand.
Well, that makes him a very cunning operator if he was hiding his decline by doing all that standing.
Look, he made it to his feet. He's perfectly cogent. Anyway, Jack, are there any stories you want to talk about? Because I don't know how much the rest of the show is going to take up.
Oh,
So
well,
I have a couple more to get to, but if you have some, we can do those right now.
well, we could do them after yours if we don't know how long yours is going to take. Because
Well,
I got a couple articles.
I have a video that's going to take a long time. But before we get to that, let's talk about this one coming to us from our pals over at Redux. I can't believe I described Redux as pals.
I mean, there's a lot worse people we could claim.
Redux does some stuff I don't agree with, but when it comes to the trans stuff, they are on top of it, and I like to give them credit because a lot of right-wing sources will just steal their shit and not say where they got it from.
Yeah.
Ian Miles Chung.
Yeah, pretty much.
Canadian non-binary diaper fetishist wins case to have taxpayers fund experimental surgery that would leave him with a penis and vagina. Canadians, you guys are going to get to pay for this dude to turn himself into a hermaphrodite. You know, because he's trans.
I mean, obviously.
Is this what they mean by a better healthcare system?
That's what they keep screeching at us about, yeah. So, like, we have the best medical ever because we pay for ridiculously stupid shit.
Now, this guy's case apparently blew up last year, Jack. It was over a year ago, April of 2024, that Redux finds out about this guy. And he wins his first lawsuit at that point to have his medical provider forced to pay for him to get a holy taint.
Oh.
Which, by the way, should be the name of a punk band.
Yeah.
Holy taint. At that time, lunatic here was anonymous, but as you do on the internet, if you have things like this, it's going to get found out, and so they dig into him, and it turns out that he is part of the this is apparently a thing on the internet, NBDF community, which is non-binary diaper fetishist. This is a dude who puts on a diaper and purposefully shits in it. And you guys are going to pay for his whole surgery.
Good job, Canada.
It's a good thing they have that nationalized health care.
Yeah, so everybody can pay for it.
Tell me again that it's not a fetish. The whole trans thing isn't just fetish.
Monkey, you use the word fetish like that's a bad thing.
All right, this video we're not going to watch much of. I haven't watched it, and maybe we'll do it tomorrow. But Trump was on Meet the Press with this annoying lady. I forget her name. And we're just going to watch the beginning of this clip because I feel like that's enough. to get the point across of what I want to.
The Trump organization is selling hats that say Trump 2028.
Yeah.
Are you seriously considering a third term, Mr. President, even though it's prohibited by the Constitution? Or is this about staying politically viable?
I will say this. So many people want me to do it.
Mhm.
I have never had requests so strong as that. But it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's constitutional that they're not allowing you to do it or anything else, but there are many people selling the 2028 hat. But this is not something I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have 4 great years.
Is this something you're seriously looking to do? Lots of stuff because he's Trump, and then this is not something I'm looking to do. We all caught up?
Yep.
Everybody, we all on the same page to his answer there.
And turn it over to somebody, ideally a great Republican to carry it forward. But I think we're going to have 4 years, and I think 4 years is plenty of time to do something really spectacular.
The Constitution does prohibit it. Some of your allies are pretty serious about this, though, Mr. President. I've spoken to them.
You want to run for a third term? No. Hey, some of your allies are pretty serious about this.
And
It's what they do to Trump all the time. Like, you may not support this, but people you know do.
so that's the problem with identity politics, isn't it? The group has decided, ergo, you must believe it too.
Jesus, man. And she goes on after she just made sure we know it's constitutional. Some of these people want to do this. They might even want a constitutional amendment. And if they get it, that would make it constitutional, fucker. You guys do realize the 8-year thing is arbitrary? It's because Washington did it, and Washington mostly did it because he was old as shit and wanted to retire.
Yeah. He wanted to go home.
He wanted to go home. He didn't even want his second term. But look, and I'm not, look, if people want their presidential term limits, that's fine. But if we change the Constitution, if we amended it, like they did to put the 2-term rule in, then the new term would be constitutional.
What? You're being crazy now, monkey.
Our media sucks so hard, Jack.
Oh, for some time now. And not in a good way. Not in like the caress your balls and look you in the eye way, but in that like rough and dirty, hey, was that a tooth way?
All right. This next part, I need to just get set up here. So CNN is really worried about the drug cartels, Jack.
That they're getting deported?
No. That Trump has deemed them a terrorist organization, and whether or not that concerns them.
Not those saintly people in the drug cartels.
So they go down and meet up with some cartel folk.
Of course they do. Traitors.
This man is talking to us on the condition we hide his identity and location.
Can I pull up a chair?
He says he produces fentanyl for the Sinaloa cartel.
How safe or dangerous is this area to be in?
En estos momentos todas las áreas son.
All right, I'm going to have to read what he says. As right now, all areas are dangerous.
I mean, according to the Trump administration, you are a terrorist. I mean, the cartels have been labeled a foreign terrorist organization. What do you make of that?
Está fea la situación.
Says, well, the situation is ugly,
Fea la situación, pero pues,
but we have to eat.
They could get real jobs.
No, man. When you have giant plantations out there for your drug business, there's just nowhere to grow food.
Wait, are they the ones that need the illegals to do the jobs Americans won't do?
I honestly don't know. Why is CNN? Okay, let's just talk about how this is her clip, not mine. I didn't clip this shit up. She starts out by asking how dangerous it is. And he says everywhere is dangerous. And her follow-up to that is, yeah, but the Trump administration has declared you guys terrorists. So in her mind, the danger to them is Trump, not the other cartels. not the Mexican government, or I don't know where this one was. Not the regime. But damn it, Trump called you guys terrorists.
Yeah.
Doesn't that worry you? And he pulls the AOC. We just need some bread.
We're just hungry. We wouldn't do this if it wasn't for that mean old orange man. Oh, we're the victims here.
They're all just displaced farmers, Jack.
Yeah.
They'd rather be
looking to
growing
grow something, anything they can.
He produces fentanyl, for fuck's sake. It's either starvation or fent. Really? I can think of a billion things between those two things to make money, Jack.
Yeah, but it's not as easy because, you know, when you don't give a fuck about human life.
Oh my God.
Real quickly, thank you, Keldrig. There's some axiom that says never attribute to malice what could be attributed to incompetence. I think, however, in the case of the media, it's both malice and incompetence. I tend to agree with you.
See, yeah. I have an axiom. Don't attribute to incompetence what is malice because of an old axiom.
Well, when it comes to CNN, they're definitely leaning more on the evil side. So
they went to ask fucking cartels about how much danger they feel because Trump wants to stop them.
Are you scared? Scared of Mr. Trump? Are you scared?
And I do understand the point of that axiom, and I've used it myself many times, Jack, because we've seen people who are just dumb.
Oh, all the time. I mean, that's half our content.
Mm-hmm. But in this case, the media is doing it on purpose. This is a narrative they want to weave. Because now, look, Garcia, he wasn't really a gang member. And they go from that to going down to fentanyl-producing cartels to ask him if they're scared of Trump. Are you guys okay?
Oh, it's so mean.
Is it dangerous around here? Are you all right? Oh, I hate these people.
It's because they're bad people trying to achieve a dangerous end, which is communism, and they don't care who they hurt in the process.
Okay, I don't know if we're gonna watch this whole video because I really do. The trigonometry one we got to get to because fuck. But I feel like you would approve me doing this one on your screen.
Uncle Fester.
Shamu the Hutt here. All right. Anybody want to guess gender?
Well, look, I'm assuming it's got a winky, but it's so blubbery, androgyny sets in, and you're like, I don't know.
Just because your man titties are real doesn't make them female breasts, yo.
I'm a woman, stunning and brave.
Why is this such a roadblock? Why have we spent an hour discussing this? Especially, you say you care about the students, but half of you are not sure what gender is.
Pot kettle what?
At that point, I would have paused the meeting and asked if any of the women had a compact. Bruh, you go in public purposefully looking like this, pretending you're a fat chick. Not just a chick, you're a fat chick. And you're like, you guys don't even understand what gender is. Yeah, weird. Trans King Kong Bundy, fuck.
That's an old-timer joke.
Pat, you're right. I didn't even see it, but you are right. Although, in fairness to King Kong, he had a neck.
Yeah, but still a great reference, dude. That took me a second. I'm like, King Kong Bundy, holy shit.
Yeah.
Especially transgender. No, the lawyer said transsexual earlier. That's not the correct term.
Actually, transsexual is the correct term.
No, for most of these people, cross-dresser is the correct term.
Transvestite is the correct term. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're not allowed to say that much anymore. So,
but if you want to use the medical terminology, transsexual would be the correct one, because gender and sex have been interchangeable until psychologists decided that they needed to have sex with children. Oh, was that too
accurate?
Blunt?
A little too spot on there, Monkey.
Go ahead and look up when they start separating gender and sex and who was behind it. It was doctors who wanted to fuck kids, or at least convince you that it was okay to do so. Don't worry, won't lead to anything bad.
Just a bunch of pedophiles touching your kids.
I'm a transgender woman. My pronouns are she, her.
I'm a transgender woman. My pronouns is she, her. I don't care what pronouns you want to claim for yourself. You're not special. You're just a fat guy who's hiding behind women. Thank you, FL. Yes, but we have to admit he has enough estrogen to be a woman. YouTube said I can't send the actual word. No, he does not have enough estrogen to be a woman. Otherwise, he would be. That's how it works. Have you seen the clownfish stuff, Jack?
You're gonna have to be more specific. Clownfish TV or the things about clownfish can change their own genders.
Because clownfish can change their own genders.
Yeah, that's fucking old bullshit. It's just making a resurgence.
It is stupid. Yeah. And for the record, they don't decide to change their gender. It actually happens biologically. They don't have to go to no gender affirming clinic or have their little fish balls cut off.
No, they go to clownfish jail, and then they become the other.
They go to Clownfish Iran and they do it for free. Thank you, Keldrig. Somebody warned Indiana Jones that thing is rigged to start rolling downhill at the slightest trigger. True.
Wow. We are so unpleasant to the Chubberloxes, aren't we?
No, fuck this person, man. I have no respect for people like this, and you don't even know what gender is. Yeah, I do. It's some made-up bullshit so that people can touch kids. You want to just be honest about what it is? Let's do it.
Yeah. People with real dysphoria do not do this bullshit.
No. Look at this person. Do you think I'm just born in the wrong body? My real body was born with only hair on one half of the head.
Yeah, it's always the freakos, too. It's never like, oh, I'm just trying to look like a woman. No, it's always the people that are like trying to get attention. I'm going to dress the most outlandish ever and demand you respect me.
And whoever cut it didn't even do it straight. The whole time I watched this, I was just like, who fucking cut that?
I think the hair is straight. The head is disproportionate to one side.
I mean, maybe, but no, because
it's hard to tell, isn't it?
Well,
like, it's a Rorschach test, isn't it? You're looking at it, trying to determine which side the hair goes on. Is that a face? Is that a human? What is that? Is that a mashed potato? Is that? Oh my god! Oh my god! It's Devil's Tower made out of mashed potatoes.
We can see that the first chin is cocked over to the left here.
Yeah, but I mean, Sloth had a discombobulated head too.
What? No, the head is tilted.
I think the chin is shifted, like it's not centered properly on the head.
You are really going to bat for the haircut here. Jack has this haircut. See, Jack's bald, so he's just jealous of any hair.
No, I don't give a shit about hair. I just think that the barber wouldn't make this bad of a mistake because the barber is from above, so he's looking down. So he can't tell that the rest of the face is like off center.
You are under the impression that this person actually went to a barber and didn't just have their trans friend cut it for him.
I think you're under the impression that this is actually their hair and not the scalp of one of their victims. So, I mean, we both may be completely off base on this. I don't know. I'm willing to accept I'm wrong, but I feel bad if there's a missing purple-haired girl out there somewhere.
Look at his dainty little man hands.
Yeah. Oh, don't look at my dainty fingers. I have toddler bits because I'm 600 pounds. I will eat you.
Oh, God.
And then absorb your power.
Well, on this frame, it kind of makes that hand look normal, but you have to look at how big that is compared to the man titty.
Yeah,
that is
it's
a
big
giant
old
kid touching hand.
Oh, yeah, it's a big old toddler mitt.
He can grab 3 or 4 kids with that.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he probably tried too, but thankfully parents are usually fairly attentive about these things.
And I will only accept those pronouns. I will not be addressed any other way.
Who is addressing you
take
as
what you
she? She, come here. You don't address people by she or her. How many times do I have to say this shit to these idiots?
Dude, they don't know what their dingles look like. That they're not going to fucking understand pronouns.
Well, in this guy's case, I mean, it's been a long time since he's seen his dingle.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like you have way too high standards for IQ 40 here.
I just love that. My pronouns are she, her. I will not accept any other pronouns. You can't call me those.
I do what I want.
And specifically says you can't address me. Nobody addresses with she, her. That's retarded.
Yeah, that's super retarded. Again, real people with actual dysphoria do not behave this way. They do not make demands of people. They just want to blend in. So this attention-seeking nonsense, whenever somebody says, my pronouns are this, they're not only attempting to control the language, they're also attention-seeking. And it's disgusting, and I hate that. I hate the attention-seeking nonsense.
Do you have a donation?
Not currently, do you?
No, Dixie asked if their donation got lost.
Oh, I'm not seeing anything in my... I'll refresh, hold on.
Cool. We're checking.
My computer's acting up. There was a new update, and ever since then, Microsoft Office hasn't worked.
Oh,
my internet's running slow as shit too. No, sorry, Dixie, I don't have anything.
Okay.
Check PayPal. Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't
No,
see
you're
anything.
fine. All right, let's get back to this thing.
And in the workspace, I'm protected by that. Our students should be too.
In the workspace, I can call you whatever the hell I want to, unless your boss actually has a rule on that.
Well, it sounds like this is a teacher.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't suspect this individual was the football coach. If so, we need to really go save those poor athletes, which is not something I normally say because fuck those sportos. But, jeez, I don't need them. I don't want anyone getting raped in a locker room. I mean, call me old fashioned. It's gauche.
Yeah, it's not a good look for anybody.
No.
Especially when they're not over 18 and don't have a voice.
Are you their voice, honey?
I will be your voice. Please don't.
Yeah. Put it in my mouth. I'll speak for you.
I'll be your voice. Oh my God.
That's a sucker's bet, Pat. No way. So I bet you anything this guy has child porn on his hard drive. That's a sucker's bet. Hell no. I ain't.
Yeah. No. Monkey can't afford to take that bet. He's got to sell those shares of Bridges.
Yes.
To all the people that fall for this crap.
So I'm just imploring you to go beyond what, just really consider what is this fight really about? Why?
It's about you abusing children, telling them they're born in the wrong body, that there's something wrong with them, and that the normal growth process is somehow a tragic design flaw. It's about you guys preaching to them, hey, if they don't give you your way, threaten suicide. It's about you guys hiding behind children for your fucking kink. That's what it's about.
Yeah, you got a fetish and you want an excuse to flaunt it, and you want to diddle kids, and you know that's a big old no-no.
All right, I'm not watching any more of that fat fuck. All right, let's do the things that you brought here, Jack, and then we will jump into the Trig video.
Certainly. Would you like me to read these since your eyes are all fuckered?
Sure. Yeah. Well, let me see. How bad is the print? Actually, if you would, it'd just make it easier.
Yeah, no problem. Our first article comes from Charlie Brown.
Oh, that's not the one I brought up. Let me bring that one up.
No.
Isn't that the bottom article?
It's the one ending in YV.
Yes, that's the bottom article. How dare you, sir? All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Trump, chicken welfare, Maha, and the battle for chicken souls.
I feel like Charlie Brown is probably the right name for this person.
It's a woman, too. So if you want to scroll down to the image there, it looks like a Scottish individual holding a chicken.
Is that Scottish or is that a dude in some pajama pants?
Roll the dice, dude. Poor little chicken. All it wants is to live.
A dude in pajama pants and his grandma's old sofa cover.
I believe it's referred to as a duvet, thank you. All it wants is to live its life the way God intended. Scratching about and trying not to get eaten by foxes. They certainly didn't mean to become part of cultural and political warfare. Yet they are. Trump is using them as a political bargaining chip. Oh, Trump! Make America healthy again. Types have co-opted chickens as the poster animal for the ultimate homesteading lifestyle. At the same time, chickens...
Wait.
What? I saw nothing wrong with that sentence.
The Trumpians.
Yes, the Trumpsters, the magatards.
Do you know why you use chickens as the poster animals? For homesteading?
Because they provide a continuing resource of food in eggs and chicken meat.
Yeah.
Make you live independently. No, that's stupid. Obviously, it's a political weapon. You're going to attack chickens and make them eat your neighbors of color, right?
If you are in survivalist mode and you can get an egg-laying chicken, that is a game changer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you get a rooster and 4 or 5 chickens, you're going to be okay for quite a while.
Okay, anyway, sorry. It used to be donkeys is what homesteaders told you to get because reasons, but now there's they want chickens because they're MAGA.
Magatards love the chicken. At the same time, chickens, especially factory farm birds reared in appalling, torturous conditions, embody exactly what is wrong with our food systems.
Can you show me the free-range chickens? I'm willing to. Who was it? Bill Engvall once talked about this in his show. Anybody ever been driving along and out in the field, you see a wild flock of chickens?
No, not normally. Typically, you'll see them in a yard because they stay where the food is, generally speaking. I've run over a few chickens in my time. But generally speaking, if somebody has chickens on their farm, they're either cooped up in a little gated area or they're free ranging around the front yard and they don't leave there because they know the food is there. So they don't really wander too far.
Free range, you'd never describe a horse in a pasture as a free range horse.
You don't know what I do in my free time.
Okay,
free range. Fuck you.
That person used she, her pronouns. I don't fucking know anymore. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
It doesn't have to make sense, dude. And also, factory farming is not what they're pushing for homesteading.
No.
They're pushing having 20 chickens, not hundreds of them. Dumbasses. Yeah, chicken is the most popular meat in the world. Have you eaten it? It's delicious. We slaughter 74 billion of them a year. Unless
Yeah,
you're Biden, then you kill a whole lot of healthy ones.
Tasty.
Health enthusiasts love them for their protein content. Yeah, it's their flavor. It makes them yummy.
Yeah.
Anyone who grew up...
Wait. Do you go to chicken for protein? Eggs, maybe.
No, the chicken is full of protein, too.
I don't know anybody that, when they're pushing protein, push chicken.
Well, if you some people can't have red meat for health reasons.
Sure.
Or they can have poultry, in which case you want chicken. Turkey's delicious, too, but they're harder to catch, and they're fucking mean. Chickens may be dicks, but they're a lot smaller, and you can shoot them easier. They tend to clump together in a group. Anyone who grew up with Sunday roast loved them for their nostalgia.
No, I like them because of the taste.
Yeah, I like them because they're delicious. And that General So guy can make a chicken really amazingly.
Yeah, he can.
87% of Americans eat eggs at least once a week. Yeah, what universe do you live in? Nobody can afford that shit. Real quick, thank you, Evolved Potato. Chickens are also great for keeping farms clean of pests, and you can feed them kitchen scraps. Yeah, chickens are dumb. They eat bugs, and you can feed them all kinds of trash. It's amazing. They're like they're not as good as pigs for that, but pigs are a pain in the ass. And thank you, Dixie Rose, for that very generous donation. Oh dear God, my eyes are burning.
I'm told in chat that chicken is a staple of a high protein diet. I'm not saying you can't eat chicken to get protein, but typically when people are preaching protein, especially meat, they're generally pushing red meats. Unless you're on a fat conscious diet, and then they start talking about the more lean meats.
Yeah, my doctor is telling me that because as I'm getting older, they want me to have less red meat. And he was explaining that like a lot of people have like dietary restrictions on red meat anyway. So they move you more toward poultry if you have like limitations and shit.
For protein, I've seen fish push way. I don't know if I've ever seen chicken pushed for that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen ever, guys. Dangerous, thank you. Aren't pronouns in a way transphobic? If you have to ask for pronouns, you are saying they don't look like their gender they're trying to be. They don't look like the gender they're trying to be. Nobody asked for Blair White's pronouns. That's all I'm saying. Well, the whole dichotomy of the pronoun argument is that it does give us the gender binary. You can't be either he or she and something else if only he and she exist. That's why they came up with Zer and all the other stupid shit they came up with.
Yeah, again, you want to put this argument to rest? Talk to some Thai trans people. They will put this shit down immediately. No, I am a woman right now. When I get off work, I am a man. Anyway,
no, you're good.
They are the symbol of everything from the darkest side of modern food systems to trad wifery to capitalism to health. I remember this time I had to barter with a chicken. She was like, "Oh, you want this? You want this action figure? That's going to be 5 kernels of corn." And I was like, "I'll give you 4, no more." She's like, "No, this is a capitalist system." And I was like, "All right, lady chicken, you win." Chickens are not just chickens. They stand for something. What
Unless
do you think
they're
they
factory farmed.
They're little communists. Is that because they share one dude? Is that it? Says a polyamorous relationship? They're Mormon. Oh, with that is a battle for their very souls. None of them are getting out alive. Don't be delicious. The battle between battery and backyard chicken lore. Think about a chicken for a moment. How does that look to you?
What kind of chicken? There's several kinds of chickens.
Yeah, like one with teeth or like a Tyrannosaurus Rex with feathers. You could think about the worst side of chicken welfare. Oh, chickens are on welfare? Holy shit. The economy's really tough. The factory farm where 99% of the U.S.'s meat is reared. Profits from pain. High stocking densities. Chickens so diseased in the U.S. they dip their carcasses and chlorine to kill bacteria. A process banned in other parts of the world, including the EU. Have you been to the EU? They're run by Muslims now, so
We actually do that as just part of keeping everybody from getting sick.
yeah, like anthrax and bird flu, and
Yeah,
it's not my fault. Europe's dirty and gross.
A lot of the problems we've had with the sicknesses on farms, it's not even that they found sick chickens, Jack. It's that they found sick chickens in the area, other farms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go check this other farm and see they're not actually doing the practices they're supposed to. So they shut it all down.
What? Preemptive? No, we don't do preemptive stuff here. You got to just panic and respond. Perhaps you're thinking about the latest bird flu outbreak, which, as food writer Michelle Albanes-Davies says in her Substack, was likely always inevitable thanks to the way we keep our chickens. Quote, an outbreak of some kind of zoonotic disease that would decimate our factory farms has been forecast by scientists for decades because of the unsanitary and cruel conditions we keep the animals in, end quote.
Time out. Okay, I'm not saying the conditions there are great or anything. And if they could find a better way to do it, great. That's fine. I always want my food happy before we eat it.
Yeah.
But do you really think that a zoonotical disease was going to come out because of cruelty? You think disease is spread by meanness?
Yes, people go in there and be like, you're a fucking chicken, aren't you? Chicken. Bark, bark, bark. And they're like, oh, he's mean to me because I'm a chicken. Then they're sad. They lay sad eggs.
The sanitary practice is 100%, but cruelty has nothing to do with why disease spreads.
No,
Okay.
You can't hurt their feelings into getting sick. Thank you, Keldrick. I value the EU's opinion about as much as I value discarded candy wrappers. Less even. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Or perhaps your brain went a different way. Maybe it thought of the backyard chicken. Happy, free-range birds chased by children in overalls. Coops to keep families in a healthy supply of eggs. Yeah, these prices, I don't blame them. Who is overseeing these happy chickens? Is it a crunchy hippie type who protests for animal rights on the weekends? Or is it a maha-loving trad wife who doesn't trust big chicken? It's called KFC, so go fuck yourself.
You ever ate a chicken freshly killed?
Yes.
My grandpa used to have them, and we came up one time, and they're running around the yard, and he tells us we're having chicken for dinner. And I was, God, how was I? I was maybe 8 or 10 at the time. And so Grandpa goes out, picks a chicken, and that's what we ate that night. And I have to be honest, it wasn't very good.
It all depends on how you cook it. My grandma used to deep fry everything.
Oh, yeah, these were deep fried.
Great. Greasy and full of flavor.
The skin was fine, but it was tougher meat. I like my factory farm meat. I ain't gonna lie. That shit is tender.
Yeah, well, they're all sitting around all lazy and full of antibiotics. Thank you, Evolve Potato. Evidence shows chicken washes are completely safe. Yeah, it's basically a bleach wash. The banning of U.S. chickens come from when the U.S. was producing so many chickens that the price for it in Europe dropped to the exorbitant prices it was at. Yeah, they basically were putting tariffs on us for the chickens because we were dropping the prices. And their local farmers were pissing and moaning about it because we're better than them. Thanks to the crunchy to alt-right pipeline, it could be either. I'm going to open that article for another day. I'm just going to save that one for later. Or maybe your brain went to chickens' positions in politics. I'm sorry, what? Like Trump's agricultural secretary, who recently said it would be awesome if more Americans had personal chicken coops to help mitigate those rising egg and meat costs, conveniently ignoring how expensive it is to rear chickens, not to mention impossible for those living with little to no outside space. Well, move to a small town, asshole.
Well, he didn't say it should be mandatory. He said it would be great. He said, awesome.
Yeah, and that was always the difference between living in the city and living in the rural areas. Because in smaller towns, you had a little more space. You could have a chicken coop.
Yeah.
And if you live in a city, you make those kind of trade-offs. Thank you, Tyrai. A random comment. I scored 80-plus issues of Legends of the Dark Knight to include the Venom storyline, Carl Barks' Disney reprints, and a free comic box to put them all into. Holy shit, nice. And Legends of the Dark Knight is an incredibly underrated series. They did some amazing Batman work there. And Carl Barks' Disney reprints were always a lot of fun when I was a kid. Okay. Or Trump's recent... thank you, Tyra. Trump's recent indication that Britain could have relief from sweeping tariffs if they agree to import the chlorinated chicken. Does
You think this person goes to a public swimming pool and is like, I can't go in there?
Oh, totally, dude. They're like, I want all the pee and floaters possible because that's the natural way to do it.
What about their local tap water?
Look, they'd rather get Giardia from the stream than drink your fluorinated water.
Sorry. Thank you, JR. Can I derail this madness with a birthday song? Well, JR, I'm assuming it's your birthday. You just want me to sing randomly because that's weird. Assume it's your birthday, JR, and this one is for you. And a 1 and a 2.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday,
to you.
Happy birthday, dear
JR Lockhart.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Hope you had a great one. Really do. Or having a great one because it is just not that long after midnight on the West Coast, Jack.
Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it?
It's only like almost 3 a.m. over there.
Yeah, it's almost like we're at one of those weird times again.
It's morning.
Technically, yeah. I mean, it's always morning somewhere, so we're never late. We go by the Mogwai rules.
Yes.
Of morning.
You know, even as a kid, it bothered me that they never said when they're not Mogwais at first. What are they? Or the Mogwais, yeah, they're not gremlins at first.
Yeah.
It's like, don't feed them after midnight, but they never tell them when you can start feeding them again.
See, that never bothered me because I asked my dad about that, and he's like, "You're never supposed to feed them." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Anyhow,
that kids ask the damnedest things, so you got to be ready for them, I guess. So, this is the strange position the chicken occupies in our cultural zeitgeist. It isn't just an animal; it's a symbol.
It's a symbol,
like the bat symbol. If you read, I want to read Legends of the Dark Knight now. If you read them, what does that say to you about you as a person? That you rear chickens. Well, it depends. Are you talking about bumming them or raising them? If you never know with medium. If you buy them in a store, how much suffering are you prepared for your chicken to go through for their meat or eggs? Well, I am not going to be aware of it, so don't care.
I like how much suffering are you prepared for your chicken to go through? I don't want them to suffer.
Yeah.
But it's a chicken.
Yeah, I don't want any animal to suffer because it fucks with the meat.
I do not feel better if the animal that I'm eating had a happy life right up until they cut off its head.
Well, I don't really think about it typically.
Neither do I.
Sort of cook.
Like if I went into the grocery store and they had 2 packages and one of them says Menendez chicken and the other one says Barron Trump chicken, I'm not going to be like, well, I can't eat that Menendez brother chicken. It got molested by its chicken dad.
Allegedly.
You guys put way more thought into your food, but you don't do it with everything? Because I guarantee you this bitch drinks some Starbucks.
Well, or she ignores the fact that plants scream when they're being cut down. So,
do you know how many animals get slaughtered for the production of vegan diets?
Oh,
they never talk about them because it's mostly moles and gophers and rats.
Yeah.
But we don't. Hey, it's okay to murder all those animals.
Or all the animals that are going to starve because they're eating their food.
Anyway, chickens are too stupid to suffer. That's true, too. Chickens are dumbass birds.
Or as the viral meme goes, one of the wildest parts about being in modern society is standing at the egg aisle in the grocery store and trying to figure out what level of chicken happiness you can afford. I've never seen that meme, and it's way too wordy to be a real meme. It's hardly.
It's for those people who like, I need the free range chickens and they're more expensive.
I want the one that's on sale because I'm poor.
Are you going to starve because you can't get the free range chickens? You know, I got to bring this up since we're at that point. Saw a video today of supposedly Palestinians who are grinding up rice and pasta because they're starving and they need to make flour. If you have rice and pasta and you're starving, you're retarded.
Yeah, you should eat the rice and pasta, dum-dum. We're going to grind it up. Why? That makes no sense at all. Speaking of which, speaking of the Palestinian thing, did you see the AI image that's been going around that a bunch of dum-dums are falling for?
No.
Oh my God. Give me a few seconds here. You've got to see this. I got to scroll through a lot of Asian porn stars first.
Yeah, I saw some other people talking about starving Gazan kids. You know what I've never seen? And they'll show you some pictures of some clearly malnourished Gazan kids that they're starving for press purposes.
Yeah, or that are from like Syria.
You know what you've never seen? The starving adults.
Because none of these people are probably really starving.
If you see pictures from the Holocaust, I mean, you have people from infant to 80 in these concentration camps with nothing but skin and bones. Somehow, in the starvation going on in Gaza, it's only affecting a handful of little kids. Probably because their parents are cutting up food to make flour.
Yeah. Check out that last link there.
Oh, okay. You gonna finish with chicken lady here?
I'm gonna scroll down a little bit and jump ahead.
Sure.
As with all macro problems, there's no single answer to the chicken conundrum.
Jesus Christ.
People are falling for that, dude. Buying better can be prohibitively expensive. A regular supermarket chicken in the UK, for instance, costs around $3.88 a kilo. That's in pounds, yo. A free-range bird, that'll be $7.50 a kilo. Why are you buying them in cocaine lengths?
I'm going to share the image that Jack shared in our chat. Go ahead, Jack.
But that doesn't mean you should try to do something to mitigate big chicken, chlorinated chicken imports, and Maha chicken appropriation. Like doing as our parents did and eating chicken as a treat, not an everyday convenience.
What is she British or something?
I guessing maybe. It's not written that way, so it's hard to tell. Like finding alternative protein sources, like buying better chicken meat and eggs when we can. Like petitioning for Britain to hold firm against chicken-based political blackmail. You can't have our chickens are the best in the world.
There you go, guys. The picture's on the screen. Go ahead, Jack.
Chickens and their souls deserve more than the lot they've been given on this earth. Only we can make amends the best we can.
What are you going to do? Give reparations to chickens?
Well, we're going to give them more feed. Yes. Yes, Charlie is a British food and drink writer and occasional chicken babysitter living in Portugal. That's a lot going on.
Yeah, why don't you come to America? Come to the West and have some chicken. It's pretty cheap. And I've been eating chicken my whole life because it was the cheap meat, Jack.
Yeah, it was cheap and it's delicious. You can get a lot of it. I mean, like it's like cheap ground beef. You know, you get a fair amount for a decent little price.
Thank you, Dangerous. To be fair, Biff, Griff, and Mad Dog called Michael J. Fox chicken, and now he has Parkinson's. Also, that's like building a raft to escape an island by smashing up some boats you found. Yes. Yeah, Flying Baby. That's apparently a little Palestinian kid. Good thing he's malnourished or he couldn't fly like that.
Yeah, he landed on a roof. Thank God this is totally for realsy pants.
Thank you, Assassin of the Gray. That's very, very generous. When the useful idiots start lecturing lions, tigers, and bears about killing to eat, I will still not listen to them or to their propaganda. They want us starved and malnourished, so we cannot fight them. Have to Galactus, Jack. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks, Assassin.
Yeah. You're wrong. It's not so that we can't fight them. It's literally to kill off part of the population.
Well, you can't fight back when you're dead. So yeah, they do want you weak. They want you mentally weak and physically weak. That's why they don't teach you anything in schools.
Yeah, the whole purpose is to decrease the US population. But to this chick specifically, I mean, if she did grow up in England, I imagine that they have a little more trouble getting a hold of chicken. They don't have a lot of extra farmland around like we do. So maybe it was more expensive having to import it and stuff. I mean, we just have acres and acres and giga acres or kilo acres, or I don't know what they use over there. Just of empty land.
What are they, hectares?
Yeah, whatever. What do y'all use? Kilograms, kilometers. We have kilometers and kilometers of open land that we can raise chickens on and eat them.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
And if I was European, especially if I lived in a shithole like Europe. I would be jealous too. I'd be like, yeah, why do you get all the chickens? And she's lashing out. I don't blame her, man. If I couldn't have KFC any day I want to, I'd be a little upset.
Well, it doesn't help that they got all those jacked up teeth, so maybe they can't chew chicken properly, and it makes them bitter.
I guess, yeah.
Lack of dentistry to do that. Do you want to cover the other article, or you want to move on?
We're going to move on just because that one we're already an hour into the show, and I seriously, I do not know how long this one's going to. I have a lot to say, Jack, and I have a feeling you might too.
Yeah, it's usually how this works, isn't it?
This comes from our friends over at Trigonometry, and for the record, I'm not actually friends with these folks. The little lesbian on the left, I forget his name. He seems like a nice enough guy. And even he's getting sick of the leftist shit. He's been the more leftist one on the show the whole time, and even he's sick of the leftist shit.
It's always great when they're exposed to their own nonsense enough that they're like, okay, this is kind of stupid.
And then on the right is Constantine, this Russian agent who grew up in Britain. I love Constantine. I think he's wrong about some things, but he's a smart guy most of the time. And I enjoy that he talks to people and has actual conversations with them. And in this case, it's this ridiculously feminist British chick. And at the beginning of this, we're skipping ahead 17 minutes. At the beginning of this, he's talking to her about her coming on the show. And he's like, I was actually surprised because we're like mortal enemies. I'm paraphrasing. And she basically admits that she's coming on here for her book tour, right? She's got a book and she's like, I love talking to people with, I say that my book, you're supposed to, it's for conversations, it's to start conversations. You got to start the conversations. And Constantine's like, yeah, but you seem to like woke stuff and I'm against that. And she's like, well, what's woke stuff? And he brings up the trans stuff. That's where we are in this conversation. Okay, everybody on board?
Oh dear.
So they're on the trans stuff, and this feminist gives us this.
So we there's very few things where we go, it's this or it's that.
Nope. We do that with literally everything all the time. If you're going to open a door, right? You don't sit there and go, fuck, where's the handle? I mean, that looks like a handle, but it might not be a handle.
I don't know how that identifies.
Yeah, exactly. We do yes and no on everything in our lives. There's very few things where we're like, what the fuck is that? That's why what the fuck is that moments are so memorable to us.
You're right. Most things are a dichotomy. We are a very dimorphous species, not just in the way we reproduce, but in the way we do things too. Yes, no, we simplify things. It creates order to the chaos.
BB says, she's mentally handicapped. No, we haven't even got to the mentally handicapped part yet. This is just I was backing it up to get it to the right part to start her story that she's going to get to here. And I kept going, we got to include that. We got to include that. And I finally settled to start here because that is such an asinine way of saying things. There's very few things that's either this or that. Everything is either this or that.
It's like this and like that and
like this. All right. Yeah, and her glasses, she's got weird Harry Carey glasses that she squared off for some reason. Look, just looking at her, without me telling you she was a feminist, with just those glasses, you could tell, right?
The hairstyle, the face that says nobody's loved me in a decade, the glasses. Yeah, there's a lot of cues here that this is a problem.
Bigger lady in a denim dress. That only works on thin chicks. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
You might have heard of the American Two-Spirit people and a Native American Two-Spirit. You guys heard of that?
Yeah.
That was created like around in the 90s.
I do want to give her credit for pointing that out. The whole Two-Spirit thing, they've been Two-Spirit all along. Don't worry, she's going to fuck it up here in a second. But the Two-Spirit thing was invented in the 90s. It absolutely was.
Yeah, and it's got, what does that have to do with the wokeism?
This is about the trans stuff.
Oh, okay.
Hey, with wokeism as part of the trans stuff.
Yeah.
At a conference, an LGBTQ plus conference, when indigenous people, Native American people were like, we have to explain it to the Westerners because they keep using, it was like a sort of slur for indigenous queer people that was off.
They kept calling them what they always called them, and we had to change it to make it so you could understand.
We had to dumb it down for your round eye.
Yeah, they called him whatever the word was that the Indians used for girly man. But it was a slur. It wasn't a slur. They were girly men.
You know, Two-Spirit was probably the PC version for the Indians. You can't call them girly men. You call them Two-Spirits.
Man who pees sitting down.
Often used. And they said, right, they see it as this and that. So let's say we're two. So whenever you hear that third gender in indigenous spaces, it's not really, that's done through a Western framework.
You were about to say it right, and then you stopped yourself. That's not really real. That's made up. No, it's in the Western sphere. It's in the, because they totally didn't see. So they had a different word for those people. But they didn't see him as different? Or are you saying they did see him as different and that's why they had a different word, but we're not supposed to see him as different? Because you know what they didn't call, whatever you want to call this Two-Spirit? They didn't just call the males who wanted to dress like the little pygmy women the female version.
Pygmy women.
She talks about indigenous people all over the world. She's going to get really into the Aboriginals eventually.
Oh God.
Because they're the oldest people. They're the oldest culture. The oldest indigenous culture. Okay.
And?
I don't know. That's really important to her.
Oh.
Because apparently they've had trans people in their thing the whole time. I don't know. Weird, nobody mentioned it until now.
Yeah. Thank you, Dark Resurrect, for that feminist donation. Wait, Two-Spirit was a slur? That's a weak slur.
No.
It's got nothing on. Removed by my lawyer.
No,
hey, if you say it, you'll get $1 million.
She wasn't saying that Two-Spirit was a slur. She was saying they made up the term Two-Spirit. Okay. How can I say this? Okay. Like, let's say the only word that you know for black people is black people, right? And then you decide that black people is a slur. So you might have to make up something else to describe black people, like African American. Still means the same thing, but it makes you feel better.
Yeah, it's like calling retarded people cognitively disabled.
Yeah. Like, hey, it's a different thing now. So the honkies, so the round eyes can get it. You know what I didn't see? A whole lot of tribal elders coming out with that shit.
Yeah, well, they know better. They're like, no, we meant it as a slur. I'm going to be quiet over here now.
It was Tumblr Indians who did that stupid shit.
Tumblr Indians. Why do all these tribals have purple hair? I don't know, but let's get out of here very slowly. Back away. Don't startle them.
Of two, and therefore a third. But if you talk to people in indigenous cultures, it's like it's not a third for us because it's more like a piano scale. So
no, it's not. If you talk to your little Tumblrettes, yeah, sure. But I promise you, when the chief was taking his son hunting, he knew he was taking his son hunting. There's a reason he left the one with the slit home. He wasn't like, I'm not sure if that's a son or not. Well, I guess I'll take peas while standing with me. Like it was a spectrum. They had no concept of gender. That is a fucking lie these idiots keep telling. It was just one big spectrum. No, it wasn't. Stop lying.
That is in indigenous cultures. It seems unlikely.
So's cannibalism. Let's say you're honest. Cannibalism was in some indigenous cultures. Should we latch onto that one?
Yeah, Mohawk used to eat people to gain their power.
That there are no people in the West who also fit somewhere up and down this gender scale. And I think
See, this is why they did the gender thing, Jack, because if we talk sex, they have to admit biology, and they can't.
Yeah.
So now it's the spectrum of the little butchy girls and girly boys, and it's so weird. It's everybody is just because you have a penis doesn't mean you're part of this big group that also has penises and prostates, and there's actual medical reasons for why there's a separation between the sexes.
What? That's crazy talk.
This is how when they go and dig up old bones and go, this was a girl, this was a guy, because there's structural differences between us.
What, like wider hips and denser bones? You're crazy.
Even Nick Fuentes, as gay and girly as he is, has thicker bones than, say, this big bone bitch. He has denser bones than she does, because on paper, he's a man. He got in an argument with Sneeko the other day because Sneeko didn't go on some podcast with him that they had set up. And Sneeko said Sneeko apparently got his YouTube channel back for like 2 days. And he was trying to clean up his image. And Nick was calling him out for not being authentic and being afraid to speak his mind. I'm like, stop hiding behind what you think of black people. Just say it outright. You little bitch. Of all the people to call somebody out for censoring themselves. He goes, I do say the N-word sometimes. Like, good for you.
Who's a big boy?
Go ahead and tell me what you think of the Jews there, homie. Yeah. Anyway.
What's happened in the West is the legal framework is you've got to say you're male or you've got to say you're female, and that's it. So if I have to be in one of these boxes in order to get any rights, this is the one I belong in.
You don't need to be in one of those boxes to get to get rights. You're in those boxes because you're human, dumbass. Dangerous Spaces, thank you. Our version of Democrats convincingly won our federal election on Saturday. Oh yeah, I saw Bering's video. He mentioned that there was an election coming up for you guys. One of the first things said by the winner, I acknowledge the traditional owners. My country is so fucked. Yeah, you are.
You guys have been fucked since the pandemic. Don't try to dress it up any other way.
Oh, they were fucked long before that. Remember that time where they couldn't keep a prime minister for more than like 6 months?
Oh, man.
Oh, poor Aussies.
Because that's the one that feels more like me. But if you take it back to its kind of human roots, we're so obsessed with our own frameworks that we really do think there's no truth outside them. But
that's an ironic statement. The roots, she starts off by the root. We got to get back to the roots of humanity. Okay, here it is. Man, woman, get together, make baby. Baby comes out, boy or girl. And then they grow up and then they meet the opposite sex and they make babies. That is literally the root of humanity.
No, that sounds like some weird sci-fi shit, monkey.
And then she says, we get so wrapped up in our own truth, we don't acknowledge that there can be anything else. You're trying to convince me that there's a spectrum between male and female. But Jack, when she says we, she means people like you and I who don't agree with her.
Yeah.
If you don't agree with her, then you're just stupid. You're not open-minded enough. I was having this conversation with my daughter the other day. It's amazing how many people, you need to be more open-minded and think like me.
Yeah.
one of the lenses I'm looking at this through is I'm adopted. I was given away at birth.
Okay, I just need to warn you. This is the reason that I decided to do this. This is the reason we're watching this, is her adoption stuff.
Is he gonna say, well, even your parents didn't want you?
I wish he would have. Constantine's way too nice of a guy. I just need we don't do trigger warning. A dumbass warning. What she's about to say is literally would have made a great Dear Dumbass video. Everybody prepared now?
Nope.
All right, your IQ, if you find yourself drooling, it's natural. Because your IQ is about to plummet.
Lenses I'm looking at this through is I'm adopted. I was given away at birth. In any other time before now, I would have been an orphan.
You're still an orphan. Well, I don't know that her parents are dead. She was given away at birth, so even then she wouldn't have been an orphan.
Yeah, she would have ended up in an orphanage.
Yeah.
One living parent. It doesn't necessarily mean both your parents are dead. It means no one in your family can or will look after you. And orphan rights is a fantastic, something I've written about in the book. If you look at orphan rights, it's absolutely fascinating. Orphans were massive scapegoats in Victorian times. If you adopt one, it will infect your children with immorality.
Europeans are kind of fucked up.
A little bit.
I don't know my history on this. In Victorian times, were they really like, if you adopt a kid, it'll infect your children?
Kind of. It was more like they were from low-class backgrounds, so they had bad genetics.
Okay. But how would that infect your children? Maybe if you guys weren't so into incest, they wouldn't infect anything.
Well, it was more like being a bad influence kind of thing. She's using a very extreme example that you would see in like a Dickens book. It was a literary device more than an actual civically held belief.
James says Victorian times, I need to go back 200 years. Well, remember her example for Victorian times was Oliver Twist. I kind of stepped on it a little bit there, but that
yeah.
If you look at Oliver Twist, the fictional story.
Yeah, that was played up a little bit, but yeah, people were dirt poor, and most of the time it was that people couldn't afford to take in more children.
Yeah,
and it was more or less either used as a prop, like celebrities do now, or people would look at you and be like, "What are you doing? That's weird. Taking in other people's kids," unless it was a relative's kid. But real quick, thank you, Evolved Potato. Over the last few years, the left-wing government has imported a lot of people and given them a lot of citizenship, even though a lot of them don't meet the requirements. Well, yeah, they want voters. The voter base has increased about 5 to 10% in the last 5 years from these people. Oh, give it time. They're going to start plopping kids out here. By the time you're our age, your country's going to be a caliphate.
Tyra, thank you. With Australia's weak politicians, China's considering just taking Australia for its own. What's worse is if China is successful, this means they will eat all of our deadliest creatures.
Yeah, probably.
Probably. They'll have them in wet markets and cause another pandemic. All right. Anyway, so Victorian people hated your orphans for reasons I don't understand.
They're not a natural child.
Stop right there. If they meant you're not a natural child of that family, they weren't. That's what adoption means, dumb fuck.
Yeah. There is stigma to that back then. There's still a little bit of stigma to that, but she's trying to overblow it like you would expect.
But she's actually making a biological argument right there, which does tie into the trans thing, because you're not a biological woman no matter how much you want to, Steve.
And you'll never be a biological member of that family.
No.
They could adopt you, change your name, but you're going to look different. You're going to have different issues, probably some different physical ailments that you get genetically or whatever. But you're always going to be an outsider. That can't change because you can't rewrite your genetic code to match whoever adopted you, you weirdo.
All right.
Their mothers were immoral and poor, and they will be too. And so if you were lucky enough to be adopted in Victoria times, you were Jane Eyre. So you had to say Mr. and Mrs. Reed. You didn't call them mum and dad.
Lots of kids at that time, and even in my own parents' time, there were still people doing this. Their kids called them that.
Yeah, it wasn't that uncommon for children, even like cousins and natural-born children, to address their parents as Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
It really came down to lineage and how the family handled that sort of thing. That was more of an upper class thing. She's describing middle class and upper class. If you were going to get like the little Orphan Annie scenario, as opposed to like, well, my cousin got tuberculosis and died, so we're inheriting her little crotch goblins. That was more likely. And if they couldn't take care of them, then they went to an orphanage. Your chances of getting adopted were really slim to begin with.
And so if I had been adopted even some decades earlier, I couldn't have said mum and dad, and I wouldn't have thought of my brother.
Was it a legal thing?
No, it was just based on the family, because
the customs. Yeah,
it was the custom of the time. Much like if you're in feudal times, if you had a bastard son, they could hang around your kids, but they were treated basically like a servant's kids.
I couldn't have called them mom and dad. If they let you, you could have. And in modern times, if they insisted you call them Mr. and Mrs. Dumbass, I'm guessing is the last name based on what I'm hearing you say, then that's what you would have had to do. I couldn't have called them. Yes, you could have. Thank you, Dangerous. One, it's a problem of our system. The leader of the party with more House of Rep seats is PM, so they can just pick a new leader and room. We have a new PM, not the worst way we lost a PM, though. Oh, yeah, I know how the parliamentary system works.
Yeah, the worst way was Harold Holt, who was kidnapped by space aliens underwater.
And two, thank you again, Dangerous. 1 p.m., Harold Holt, there you went, went swimming in the ocean and just disappeared. Not sure if he had bodyguards, but if he did, how do you explain that back at the office? Where's the PM? About that.
Things went askew. Shut up, and I want to talk about it.
Did he ever cook for Obama?
Brother and sister as my brother and sister. I would have been constantly told I was a charity case, I was a waif, I was a stray, I was a bastard, I was an orphan.
That's not what bastard meant even back then, sweetie.
She has a narrative.
And my parents would have been my guardians, and I would have been their ward legally.
Legally, you were their ward.
Yeah, I don't think she understands how wards work.
Even being adopted doesn't change your actual lineage. Okay.
Yeah, you're going to get treated differently because you are an outsider. And back then, it was a much different time. We don't live in that era anymore. And also, that's an incredibly rigid class structure to be pulling from for an example.
In this case, biology really does matter. And look, I'm not saying treat orphan kids mean or treat adopted kids mean. No, but she's trying to make this out to something it's really not, because she's like, see, and suddenly we actually are their children. No. If I need a bone marrow transplant, you know who they're first going to go to?
Your kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, your biological children.
And if that's not a match, then they start looking outside. And if I had adopted a kid, they wouldn't go, all right, we're going to test all of them at first, because there's a good chance the one that came from somebody else is a perfect match for you.
Oh, no. See, your bone marrow magically transforms once the adoption papers are signed. That's just science.
And that's what she's doing. This is so dirty.
Yeah, it's a disingenuous comparison.
The even if we started calling trans women women, they're still not going to be women. They're still not going to get ovarian cancer.
You don't know me. Somebody's going to inject themselves with ovarian cancer. Just watch.
They're lacking ovarians. Now, prostate cancer
from the ovarian sector.
They're going to start needing a finger up the butt for more than just pleasure once a year when they're 50, because of that prostate you can't cut out.
Oh, they can cut that out now. That's how you get rid of the cancer.
And if my mom and dad had gone around saying to people, this is our daughter, and people had found out I was adopted, they would have thought they were fantasists or liars, because you can't argue with biology. Now, at some point, society just decided that because orphans had such terrible low self-esteem, and 70% of the criminal population in the UK in Victorian times were orphans, and because of stories like Jane Eyre and Oliver Twist, social activism and all that, just decided that children like me should be fully endorsed.
That's not how that happened.
Can we just talk about the fact that feminists base all of their beliefs on fiction?
Yeah, look, a lot of orphans were street kids, is what she's talking about. They committed a lot of crime. The kids at the orphanage weren't the ones committing crimes. It was the street urchins.
And for the record, let me get this. Tyrai, thank you. I am tired of this whole lineage oppression stuff. We are back to the sins of the father, but it's everyone else's fault. Yeah, I hear you, but guilty liberals, man. Guilty liberals. There's nothing you can do about them.
There is, but that's illegal too.
These kids were not committing crimes because somebody was going, you can't call me dad. They were committing crimes because they were desperately poor.
Yeah, they were literally street children. They lived on the street. That's one thing that Dickens did get right. There were older people that took advantage of urchins and made them into street thieves, like Fagin did with the street kids in the story. He was basically the head of a gang.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, all right, kids, look, I will give you food and a place to crash, but here's what you're going to do. You're going to learn how to pick pockets, and you're going to bring me what you get, and I'll sell it, and then I'll give you a percentage and let you live here.
And notice she said that because of the stigma, because this is what she's going for here. Because of the stigma, did they have a 41% suicide ideation rate? No. They stole.
Yeah, too many kids were back then. They'd throw the kids in adult jails.
Yeah.
So there weren't a whole lot of juvenile prisons. So at worst, if they were lucky, they'd get thrown in an orphanage. But then they just escape and go back on the street like the regular hobos do. Real quick, though, thank you, Evolved Potato. Something that's actually come out in the last few days is more leftist people inside the opposition might have actively ruined the campaign of their party to get the leftist in charge, which wouldn't be surprising. Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised by that. Your politicians are corrupt as shit, man. Good luck.
Good luck.
Let me know when you guys have an uprising, because the way things are going, it wouldn't surprise me too much.
They need to find their men down there. I don't know what happened to them all.
wrestling kangaroos.
And so we did argue with biology and we won. And that is.
No, you didn't. We argued with biology and we won.
No, you didn't. No, in the slightest did you win.
You are not familially related to who you call mom and dad. Your genetics didn't change because you're allowed to call them mom and dad.
That is a social construct.
That's why I have self-esteem and have had a good education and feel complete.
She got a good education because she beat biology. I feel like your education wasn't as good as you think it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe she ate biology.
You want to talk about beating biology? Curing cancer is beating biology.
Yeah. Any vaccination would be beating biology.
I beat it because I can say mom and dad. I got a good education because I can say mom and dad.
No, the social stigma just went away. That's a different thing entirely.
I'm fairly certain trans kids can call their parents mom and dad before they're trans.
Maybe we should let them.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Then they'd know what they were missing.
Yeah. Maybe they'll learn their lesson then.
And that is why I have self-esteem and have had a good education and feel completely endorsed by society. And I didn't even realize I was.
See, that's what you really want. You should only say that. Feel completely endorsed by society. I'm going to tell you right now, I do not feel endorsed by society.
Oh, we're way too awesome for that.
Yeah, I say things you're not supposed to, and I'm loud and
retarded.
I have fun.
Yeah, you're not allowed to have fun anymore. You're happy, you have children, you're straight and married, and you're a heteronormative cis white male, you evil monster.
Tailfin says my self-esteem. A lot of the problems we are suffering right now come from the push in the 80s for self-esteem. Yep. Nothing was more important than self-esteem, not earned self-esteem, just having self-esteem. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me.
Yep. Thank you, Okie Native. When the uprising happens in Aussie land, I, for one, support taking in refugees. Very select ones. Specifically Asian heritage women above a 6.5 with the accent. I concur, Okie. I will help you set up a screening process. I have a subterranean love den that's available for screening purposes. Yeah, just let me know. Let me know if you get this program going. But thank you. I fully endorse that message.
It's not self-esteem if it comes from general society. You're not wrong in the overall, but it is preached as self-esteem. You need to feel good about yourself just because you are you. Some of y'all should feel bad about yourselves because you're shitty people. Not our audience, of course, but the general humanity.
Yeah,
a whole lot of people should feel really bad about themselves.
But they preach this unrequited self-esteem of positivity that you can't be happy all the time. There are times when you can't win. There are times when you should be sad. There are times you should feel bad about yourself because you did something bad. Like you cut someone off in traffic. You're a bad person for doing that.
Remember that lady we watched the other day who told us she had nothing to live for because she has to pay back her college loans?
Oh, God.
She should feel bad about herself because she's, one, a horrible mother, and two, has abandoned her own responsibilities for 15 years to just rack up more debt. She should feel bad about that. If you don't, feeling bad is nature's way of telling you not to act like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it tells you violated the social norms of society or humanity, for that matter. Like, oh, I should have grabbed that boobie. Thank you, Tyra. My stepmom and sister-in-law are only related by a piece of paper. Sure, I call my stepmom mom when we are together, and she calls me daughter. I don't expect to see any inheritance from her, though. That's life. Yeah. Well, just make sure as soon as she dies, you get in there and get the silver out and get the jewelry before anyone notices. And be like, that gaslight them into not believing that it ever existed. Sorry. Thank you, Keldrig. So I turned a gang of orphans into pickpockets, which was the style at the time. That's true. It's what you did when you were poor. You did what you had to do to survive.
I don't feel bad enough about myself. Me neither. I really should feel worse sometimes, but you know, I like me a lot. They didn't have to preach self-esteem to me. I sat in all of those things where teaching us about self-esteem going, who doesn't feel this way? Of course
I wasn't allowed to go. They said I was too stupid for the class.
I was awesome. I still am.
Was an orphan until I found my biological mother and found out that from that time, some of newborn babies of my generation went to orphanages. And I cried for like 48 hours because I was just like, I'm an orphan. And I could have gone to an orphanage from birth. And
you cried about stuff that could have happened to you decades earlier. You didn't cry for the kids who did go to orphanages. You cried because you could have.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, you have way too much self-esteem, lady. I cried for shit that never happened to me.
It happened to other kids.
But she didn't even cry for them. She cried for a past she didn't have. And not like, oh, everybody else got to have food and I was starving. No. I could have went to an orphan. Fuck. How do you get this self-obsessed? I'm pretty self-obsessed. Good morning, baby. How do you get this self-obsessed?
It takes a lot of work.
Did she cry for Argentina? Probably. I could have been Argentina.
Children.
Do you think she ever goes, I could have been black and I just cried?
I mean, it's probably.
Oh, God.
I weep for all those that are not like me.
Orphanages from birth have massive issues, as you can imagine, because they don't have that attachment. And that made me feel really, really, really sad and really like, oh, I would be a totally different person. And then you can parallel that with gay rights. If you look at the history of gay rights, in the 60s, many gay...
Stop calling gay people trans, okay?
Yeah, a lot of gay people really don't like being lumped in like that. A lot of trans people don't either, honestly. And God forbid you meet like a normal drag performer, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't want to be associated with those library weirdos."
Gay men were broken. Mm-hmm. You know, you watch something like The Boys in the Band, which is a play and it's been made into a movie about gay men in the 60s in New York. And
can you give a single reference that isn't a fictional story?
That one might have been a documentary. I'm not sure.
Even based on real people, it's not the real events. It's fictionalized. It's not
how miserable they were and how much self-loathing there was and how they kind of went for each other because there were two options. One was be in the closet, be married, come and get hand jobs under the bridge. The other was be out and be giving the hand jobs under the bridge. And that was...
There are a lot of hand jobs under bridges, apparently. Just every bridge you went over, there was no water. There's just people jerking each other off.
Does she think that's what gay guys do, is just beat each other off?
Apparently that was happening in Cambridge or wherever. I guess it was all just handies under bridges. That's what they should have called the movie.
Bridge jobs. Oh, K-Men, the original trolls.
You gotta pay the troll toll. That really changes Billy Goat Scruff, doesn't it?
It really does.
And so the misery those men lived with and the suicide rate and the mental health breakdowns, and we've seen what's happened since we've endorsed and legalized and for gay men who now live in our...
There's still gay guys whacking people off under bridges.
Since we legalized handies under bridges is the logical conclusion to that sentence.
Society freely and women, but it's easy to see with gay men because of criminalization.
It's easier to see with gay men because they're happy. They don't have to deal with women.
Yeah, fucking show-offs.
Gay men, the happiest. Straight men, second happiest. The most depressed people on earth are lesbians because they have to live with women.
Oh boy, ain't that the truth?
I mean, polls show this. The happiest people are gay men. The second happiest are heterosexual couples, and then the least happy people are lesbians.
Is that why they're always beating each other up?
Yes.
Ugh.
You need something to balance out the crazy.
Well,
Love you, ladies.
I mean, it's a lot of syncing up in one household. No offense, ladies, but that'd scare anybody.
Thank you, Jay, who says this gives a whole new meaning to whitewater rapids. No shit.
Watch out for the cum typhoon.
Can't believe that gay men had to suffer so much that all they could do was give handies under bridges.
I mean, she's making it sound like a good time. Like, yeah, and then they were under the bridge. And if you were out, you were giving handies under bridges. If you were in the closet, you were under the bridge giving handies. Apparently, that's just what you did when you didn't have internet. That's all I learned.
Well, in fairness, she said that the guys pretending to be straight got the handies. I would argue at that point they're still mostly straight. They didn't touch a wiener. It's the other guy doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the rules worked in the 70s for that.
Them straight guys would just take. They didn't give one reach around. That's kind of mean, really.
It's very self-absorbed.
Yeah.
And decriminalization. And so, I mean, your and my gay friends now will be, running the PTA and, living their lives on the outside and being their full selves and not living in depression and marginalization. This doesn't mean there's no homophobia.
Gay people have no depression.
Wow.
By the way, the suicide ideation rate of gay people is either 2 or 3 times higher than straight people. Even with all this acceptance she just told us about, Jack. Why would that be?
Could be because gay people are just normal people and they're prone to having depression too. Plus, maybe they're having to put up with some other dude all the time.
Nope, disagree, Monk. You seek a man's hand, you're gay. Maybe he thought there was going to be a woman down there.
This chick's a longshoreman.
Phobia, but it means the legalization and the endorsing of language has functionally changed who is capable of being productive, happy, whole members of society. And
I wonder, does anybody know what the gay suicide rate was in the 60s? Gay suicide rate by decade. That should get it for us, right?
I would hope so.
No, that's yeah, I mean, even here, this is in 2021. LGBT youth 4 times more likely to attempt suicide.
Ugh, that sucks.
According to the Trevor Project, so I was watching a video the other day, and it popped up it was a comedy video, and it popped up a warning from the Trevor Project. If you guys don't know what the Trevor Project is, pedophilia propaganda.
And that's great for society as well as the individuals. So I'm looking at trans rights from both of those avenues and saying,
oh, sorry, what the Trevor Project said there was 18% of them of LGBT youth, and that they include the T there. That's why it's so high. Have suicide ideation. The number for just gay kids, they have stopped publishing as much. It's like 4.9%, if I remember correctly. And in the general population, it's like 1.5%. Hoko, thank you. I thought using stereotypes for everyone was wrong. Not when it's convenient. Thank you for becoming a member for month number 5, my friend.
Yeah, that's
What would happen?
another
What?
problem is, why a lot of gay people are unhappy. They get lumped in with everybody else. They can't
Yeah.
just be themselves anymore. They got to be part of this entire community. That's a lot of upkeep.
If we realized that our model is not the only model, there is absolute precedent for human beings to be fluid in gender and for them to be gender non-conforming.
Precedent for something doesn't make it normal or average or normal. I know I said normal twice, but that really is the point. There is precedent for a guy shoving a banana up his ass.
Oh, Amazing Atheist? Yeah.
On the internet, yeah. Doesn't make it normal to jam a banana up your ass.
Well, was that banana Onision?
No, it was a smaller banana.
Oh, okay.
Have you never seen the video?
Yes, but I remember
Yeah.
Onision dressing like a banana going, I'm a banana. And I just wondered if he was that banana. Get that image out
Just
of your
as much with orphans, Indigenous societies don't have, many Indigenous societies, they don't have the concept of orphan because the whole community will look after you and your aunt is also your mum type feel. And
Good luck getting married.
Nope, your aunt's not also your mom just because they all look after each other it's because people had roles in there and you still took care of your kids and protected your children more than the other children.
She is bouncing around through different cultures because and picking and choosing. A communal tribe in the middle of the jungle has to live together and cooperate in order to survive. It takes several people to take down a mammoth or a large animal of any kind. So you have to work together. So if somebody in the tribe dies off, you got to take care of their kids. Yeah, because there's like 100 of you in that tribe, and if you don't, you're going to die off real fast.
So
she's muddying the waters. You're not wrong, Eagle. And she's fucking horrible.
It's a Western framework that delivers us orphans.
Yeah,
do you see what I mean?
I see what you mean, but I don't agree. And the reason is that I'm not a Western person by birth, and Francis has experiences of outside. And the idea that male and female are Western categories is just not. It's not true. In fact, I would
not just Western, but you see what I mean about Indigenous societies.
Yes, but Indigenous societies are like 0.0001% of the entire population of human beings on the planet.
This is where Constantine, you're so close. Even yes, you're right. Indigenous is really, really small populations, but even within those populations, let's say that there's a Rachel Levine living among them. It's one out of the thousands. It's not all of them. When you've seen, I'm sure you have, Jack. You watch documentaries and stuff. When you've seen tribes, did you watch What Is a Woman with Matt Walsh?
Yeah, I don't remember much of it because Matt Walsh's hair was distracting.
He goes over to Africa to a tribe. Was it hard to tell which one were men and women there?
No, it wasn't.
They even laughed at the notion of there being a third kind of gender. He said the words and it gets translated and they all break out laughing.
Yeah, because it's the stupidest thing they've ever heard.
This is why I brought it, just because there's precedent for something doesn't make it normal. There's precedent for a guy running around New York City shooting people in their cars as they made out. It's probably not something we should do again.
I would vote that we don't recreate the Son of Sam killings. Yeah.
There's precedent for this. There's precedent for a lot of weird shit, lady.
Like slavery.
Yeah, there's definitely precedent for slavery. It was around it's still around, but it was common way longer than it was not common. Even in our Western world, Jack, slavery's only been gone for about 200 years in the West.
Yeah, we forced everybody else to give it up too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for the most part.
But there's precedent.
And the more east you go, the more the traditional societies are, and the more the male and female rigidity is enforced. Actually, the West is actually pretty loose about them. The other thing that I don't understand about the argument is that it sounds to me like we're confusing gender nonconformity. In other words, a feminine man or a man who doesn't comply with the stereotypes of what we expect of a man, and a woman who doesn't comply and wears trousers or whatever, with claiming.
She did bring up earlier, she had this great example to tell us why we should just accept trans people. It would just become normalized, you see, because if all bus drivers dress like clowns, then it wouldn't be unusual for you to get on a bus and see, you would just get normalized to a bus on a clown, or a clown on a bus.
Again, what the fuck is she talking about?
She's talking about societal changes to what we accept. And she has a point to that. And that's why we shouldn't accept this, because it's not a good thing. Every bus driver dressing like a clown isn't going to hurt anybody unless you're really scared of clowns. But telling children to cut off their wieners, that's going to cause damage. Telling them they're in the wrong. The suicide rate, oh my God, the suicide rate of the guys in the 60s. What do you think it does to the suicide rate when you tell confused kids that they're broken and can never be fixed?
Yeah, look at all the kids that are coming out now and detransitioning. We don't talk about that, though, unless you happen to actually read the internet. These people won't talk about detransitioning at all.
When you talk to these kids, when you're talking to them, and these are mentally disturbed children, they actually are mentally disturbed. Typically depression, in American society, boredom. These are not they're looking for a new normal. And you're telling them you were born wrong. You're a mistake. You're a cosmic fucking mistake. How do you think that helps their self-esteem, orphan girl?
I don't think the orphan cares about that. It's about scoring political wins.
No, she'd be like, oh my God, I could have been born trans and it would have been so bad. I got to cry now.
That you are the opposite sex. These are completely separate things. And the third thing is, and we've obviously had a lot of people on the show to talk about this, the gay rights model doesn't work very well as a comparison, not least because it's actually gay people that are at the forefront of opposing trans ideology. True. And say, if I had been alive today as a young person, people would have told me I'm trans, even though I'm gay, or even though I'm autistic, or even though I'm this. And the fourth difference is that
I love that you just pointed out it's autistic kids they're doing this to. They're fucking with autistic gay kids, and she tried hiding behind the gay shield because of a movie she once watched.
Yeah.
Decriminalizing homosexuality was about preventing the ill treatment of gay people. When we're talking about transgenderism, the way that we've been talking about it in our societies until recently, until West Streeting banned puberty blockers, is that because we have this ideology of compassion for people who may feel differently, we then would prescribe very significant medical treatments to young children who are not actually capable of making rational decisions about their long-term future. So for all of those reasons, I don't really see the argument that you're making.
Okay, he's going to go to a commercial and we're going to skip ahead. I think he's selling gold. If you want some gold, go check out the Trigonometry guys. Apparently they have some sale. I don't fucking know.
I think you can see the argument that I'm making. You don't agree with the argument I'm making, but you've made 4 points there, so I need to take them one.
You can see the argument I'm making. You don't agree with it.
She's going to take them. So like every good orphan, she's going to rip you off. Look, criminal. Proving the point.
I don't understand why you disagree with me. Duh. That's why he said at the beginning of his part, I understand, but I disagree with you. Okay.
One by one. What was the first one?
So the first, well, I don't remember the order in which I made them. I think the first one was that in the idea that the male-female binary is a Western concept is just not factually accurate.
Okay, so stop there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about indigenous people who live all over the world.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm talking about 1,000 years ago when people were believing that the sky gods were angry when thunder came.
I said that the male-female dichotomy is not just in the West, and she stopped and goes, I'm talking about indigenous things. That would be not in the West, sweetie. If you're talking about the Aborigines still living on their Aboriginal land with their abo titties, yes, Australia is considered Western, but not out on the what do they have there? Is it reservations? What do you got? Where do you guys keep your abos?
Yeah,
I mean, besides in the street, drunk on gasoline, burning couches for some reason. That is still so weird.
Till we had so when you say the trouble with saying it's not Western is colonization did bring a lot of more fixed ideas. So I'm from
Jack, before colonization, there was no such thing as men and women.
No, there was no war. It was all peaceful until those fucking Europeans showed up and murdered everyone and sneezed on everybody. Yeah,
Hey,
good job, colonizers. With your civilization.
In American Indian culture, who did the hunting and war?
Oh, that would be the men.
Are you sure? Because I feel like those would be counted as indigenous folk. And I feel like in order for the men to have done it, they would have had to have had some kind of system of men and women, some kind of dichotomy.
Oh, did you say dichotomy or
dichotomy?
I don't know what dichotomy is.
Thank you, Dangerous Spaces. Let's talk about the suicide rate, you stupid fucking bitch. So a person is uncomfortable in their body. That will be fixed by carving them up and permanently mutilating said body. Dumb fuck. Yeah, well, that's their idea. If you make them look like... It really is the South Park episode. I hate that South Park got so much of this stuff right, and I have to reference them. The end of the episode where Mr. Garrison goes in for his abortion, and the doctor's like, you can never have an abortion. What do you mean? I'm a woman. Like, well, we made you look like one, but you're not one. I feel like that should be required watching in classes.
Well, also, one of the things that we have done over the years with civilization is we have given people much more free time. You didn't worry about your gender identity and being sad about your self-esteem when if you didn't go kill that buffalo, you didn't eat for a week. So you better suck it up, Nancy, or you're not going to be around much longer. So you better get out there and fucking fight if you're a boy, or learn how to sew and do something productive for the tribe, or they're going to throw you out in the wilderness and you're on your own.
Are you kidding me? Gender's even more traditional. Yeah. She's like, no, in the indigenous places, it's so much more open-minded than it is here in the West. They really don't have a male female.
They have a much more closed circuit than we do in the West. Now, you can have multiple opinions here. You can't do that in a tribe because it threatens the survival of the tribe. And why does it look like they're both under a bridge right now?
She wants to give him that handy.
It looks like he's already getting one.
As a gay man, she's reaching out.
No, hold on a second. Sorry, no, I'm not going to let that pass. Are you saying people in the Duchy of Muscovy 2,000 years ago?
No. But I only just started the sentence. So I said, for example, colonization did export a lot of very Christian, quote unquote Christian, not necessarily Christian ideals around the world. So my example was...
Did you see him roll his eyes there?
Yeah, he's thinking of the Romans and how they were so gender fluid.
I love that part. And this is why I like watching Constantine. He's very polite, as you see here. There's very rarely that he gets into a heated argument with somebody, but you can tell what he's thinking. And she's like, no, I wasn't saying that the indigenous ones were like gender fluid. I'm just saying that they were gender fluid. You only let me start my sentence. Like, yeah, because he stopped you because what you were saying was fucking retarded. Rome was before Christianity. You only say that because they killed him.
I think it's hard to talk about the whole globe, but my example was in Australia. You may know Australian Aboriginals have the idea of brother boys and sister girls, and they are genderqueer people. But of course, when
I do wonder how far back, and I don't understand what brother boy means. Wouldn't that just be a boy because your brother is a boy? Shouldn't that be sister boy and brother girl?
I don't really understand Abo speak, so I don't know.
Let's be honest, white Christian colonizers came and turned up. They said that's not a thing and you're not allowed to do that, and said that that's wrong, and there was a lot of shaming that's gone on. Now that obviously has infiltrated into the Aboriginal population now.
Oh, fuck off. You know, when the Aztecs went around, they were like, look, if you don't sacrifice, the sky gods will get angry, so we're going to need a couple of your kids. Yeah, fuck off, lady. Every invasion does that. They institute their own policies. She's got some hang up about Christianity that she's using specifically European Christians.
Well, this is part of the whole feminist Marxist narrative that everything bad in society is because of the Christians.
Yeah,
they
go
spread
back to
around
the Viking fellas.
They spread around the globe with their patriarchy. No patriarchies in the chief always being male until recently.
Yeah, that's weird.
No, there was a female society where ladies told the men what to do, and the men went and did it.
Then they died it because they were led by a bunch of women.
There's still brother boys and there's still sister girls, but there's a lot of homophobia in the Aboriginal population that didn't exist before it was imposed.
But
how do you know that?
Can we go back to like real tribals and like I would join an Indian group right now rather than put up with talking to this woman. Like I would gladly do that. Like if you built a time machine and said you can either stay with this woman in a house for 6 months or go back in time and live with like the Cherokee for 6 months, I'd be like, let's go Cherokees.
See, I'm going to disagree with you for one very important reason. This lady looks like she has a lot of cats, and I like cats. So I would just lock myself in a room petting the cats all day.
I don't think that that's part of the rules, though. You would have to. It would be like an open air studio, and the cats won't protect you because they're finicky.
The cats would love me. They'd be like, "Save me from this bitch."
Yeah, yeah. You can all form an escape plan together. Real quick, thank you, Okie Native. I like how she stops and backtracks mid-speech.
Right?
She says something incorrect or stupid. Yeah, you're not wrong. Since she knows he's going to call her out on it, so she tries to do damage control before he can even say the entire thing. Even she knows it's BS. You're not wrong at all. But they have to say this shit so that they're accepted. She's on a book tour. She's obviously trying to sell her book. I don't know why she thinks this audience is going to do it or buy her book, but
hate buys maybe.
Maybe. I'm sure you're going to get some of those, but you just wait till it hits half price books and buy it from them so she doesn't get any money. Thank you, Tyrai. How dare the Christians provide healthcare, schooling, and orphanages? That's the reason it's her being an orphan, and she could have gone to one of theirs. Yeah, that's the other thing. Much like the Romans, the Christians did a lot to civilize places and educate people and bring people up to a more sophisticated standard. You don't have to like that they did it, but let's face it, if you are pre-wheel entertainment industry here, you know, like your entire tribe has never seen anything that rolls, yeah, your life's going to improve quite a bit, and probably your longevity too.
Random says they wouldn't be happy cats. They would be so happy to see me, dude. And Hoko, thank you so much. This is a really good point. She's going off rumor of the tribes who had no written language that confirms any of this. True.
Yeah, it's all based on the modern interpretation of what somebody said that's been oral tradition. Also, like somebody in chat just pointed out, you're wearing glasses. How very European of you.
Hey,
bifocals, that's an American invention.
Those are trans glasses. She's got trans sight.
She turned into a robot when she takes them off. She
Not addressing my argument. My argument is not that there aren't indigenous communities where these practices exist. My argument is that that is by far.
My argument is that there are not indigenous places where this existed for thousands of years.
They didn't have time for that shit. They were working on basic survival.
Yep.
In a way, a tiny minority of the global population of humans.
I don't really understand how that matters, though, because it's still.
I'm actually with her that how tiny of a population isn't matter. That the tribe itself doesn't matter. It's how many people within that were this made up two-spirit abo titty thing.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Thank you, Okie Native. Speaking of badly written books that aren't finished, did the audience know Jack's an author?
Nice.
My Microsoft Word stopped working for some reason. I can't figure out why. I've tried reinstalling it. I think they did an update to Windows, and it made it obsolete. So I got to figure that shit out. Ever wanted to read a superhero pastiche set in post-apocalyptic world of pizza delivery and questionable hygiene? Read Mr. Jack's books, available on Kindle. That's true. Brandon is nice enough to put the links in the Rumble chat occasionally, and they are linked somewhere.
Monk says,
under merchandise links.
Monk says, just a quick look at Brother Boys, Sister Girls. It appears to be names for Nancy Boys and Tom Girls, or Tomboys.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, see, these are the same people who tell us, I mean, there are no more tomboys. When was the last time you saw somebody described as a tomboy? Like, that's a trans kid.
Well, they're trying to get rid of gays altogether by making them trans.
Yeah.
And tomboys and like effeminate boys, they tend to grow out of that after a while. But thank you, Oki, for plugging my books. I appreciate that. And apparently it's Brittany's birthday.
Brittany, around here we do this, and a 1 and a 2. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Brittany. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Brittany. I hope Hoko spoils you today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just if he invites you under a bridge, say no. This is your day, not his.
It's still the archaic way people behave.
If 99% of people do something and 0.1% of people do something different.
Do you know why indigenous populations are so small, though?
Jack, do you know why indigenous populations are so small?
Because they tend to fight with other indigenous populations and die off?
Nope.
Is it because they have a lot of gays and they're not reproducing?
That would certainly explain it, but no, she's going to tell us.
Oh, wait, I know. It's because a colonizer coughed on one of them.
Isn't it?
The point I'm trying to make to
you
you
know
is,
why they're so small?
Hold on a second.
But do you know why they're so small?
You're deflecting from the argument that I'm making.
Really.
Yes, you are. The argument that I made, when you said this is a Western concept, I gave you examples.
Yeah.
For example, the Duchy of Muscovy or Russia 600 years ago.
So when I say Western, I'm speaking because that's where I'm having the arguments, is in the West.
Okay.
Now, obviously, there are Eastern places too, but I'm talking about Western frameworks. It's unlikely I'm going to come in here in Kent and start talking about Far Eastern.
No, I think you're
She won't talk about Far Eastern, but she'll talk about Australia. Look, I'm from the West, so I can only talk about things near to me, like Australia to Kent. I don't know if you guys know Kent is in England.
Yeah, I don't think Australia is close to the UK. Unless you buy into the theory that Australians are actually on Madagascar and Australia doesn't actually exist.
She'll go to Aboriginal Australia, but not to Russia, which is just down the road. Literally, Napoleon walked the fucking thing.
That's a lot of hate facts there, buddy. Congratulations, TOS, on your anniversary. 35 years.
Oh, congrats. That's awesome. Saiyan Wizard. Sorry, Saiyan. What the fuck am I doing? Saiyan Wizard. I know how to speak Dragon Ball Z.
Do you?
No, I like girls. Just kidding. Off topic. If any of you, Jack Monkey Chat, get in a position of power, I need you to ban big frame glasses. I don't know why they came back into style. You can blame, I'll get to the rest of that in a second. You can blame a lot of that on the hipster nature. Hipsters came from feminists with their Sally Jesse glasses. Where are we? I don't know why they came back into style, but at the eye doctor, almost all of the glasses were huge. Was like, what the fuck are we regressing? See, back in the day, we used to shame people for having glasses because they're bad people. And we stopped doing that. And now they think they can just wear television screens on their face.
Don't give them ideas, dude. They'll broadcast little signals. You'll have to. You look over on the city bus, and there'll be some asshole with TV glasses playing some propaganda about they them pronouns or some stupid shit. It's coming. Give it time. Give it time. Also, thank you again, Okie Native. She can't talk about Western indigenous people because, you know, white or French, and they're bad indigenous people. Oh yeah, you can't do that. No.
All Potato says, don't you have glasses, Monkey? Yeah, but I don't wear them because I'm not a pussy. It was weird that people used to make fun of folks for wearing glasses.
Yeah, it's
like you fucking nerd trying to see.
Yeah, with all your vision. Oh, you monster.
I have never understood that. 4 eyes. No, there's just 2. You need to learn to count, motherfucker.
Oh, thankfully Google Glass hasn't caught on yet, Keldrick, but give it time to where they can project stuff onto the lens so that instead of the user watching it, they're forcing everyone else to watch it. That's when you'll see the hipsters adopt it. Because all those lefties in Portland want to be like, I'm going to be on the bus. It'll be like the bumper sticker for people's faces. You know, like, I want somebody behind me to think. Well, now they're going to be like, I could just look at one of those magatards and make them look at queer propaganda. That's what it's going to be.
Dangerous, thank you. Indigenous communities have clearly had the concept of sister girls and brother boys for thousands of years. I mean, they're using those clearly indigenous words, boy, girl, brother, and sister.
Yeah, you know, the words that were invented by the Aboriginals. They did it while dreamwalking.
Yeah, show me the written proof of them using it for 1,000 years.
Yeah, it's written on the side of their didgeridoos.
I think you're mishearing what I'm saying. You made the claim that outside of the West, in indigenous societies, these things are very normal. And the point I'm making to you is, while it may be the case in certain tiny communities that exist, hold on a second, that exist in certain tiny communities, bless you, Francis, outside of the West.
I do appreciate the little gay guy for having the nerve to go by the name Francis.
It's a bold gambit, especially with wearing that sweater, that Mr. Rogers sweater.
I don't know anybody named Francis, and I've met a few over the years. None of us go by what my dentist, who is named Francis, called the maiden name. None of us use it.
I think I've met 1, maybe 2 people that actually go by Francis. There was a dude, and I think I met a chick named Francis once, but she was kind of mannish.
I even once knew a kid. His name was it wasn't Francois, it wasn't Francis, it was like some weird hybrid of that, and he still went by Frank because none of us like it.
Francois is way more debonair. Like, that's some aristocrat shit right there.
Francois sounds like somebody who's going to rape your sister, brother.
Yeah, but he'll give them a glass of tainted wine first. Franco, that's a little bit of a more badass name.
Yeah, but I think of it more of like a last name, a surname rather than a first name.
That's fair.
Anyway.
There are also lots of other civilizations outside of the West where the gender binary that you were talking about as a Western concept is actually much more firmly enforced than it is in the West. In the Islamic civilization, in the Chinese.
Wait till she gets to the Islamic civilization. It's great.
Oh dear
civilization,
Lord.
in Russia, all over the world, in South, pretty much everywhere. So the bringing up tiny indigenous.
And real quick, the reason it's pretty much everywhere is because when babies are born, we can clearly see their genitals. They come out naked. I don't know if you know that, Jack.
What?
Yeah, babies
Those
come out
little
naked.
monsters that come out with their dinkers all showing.
Don't tell the left, or they'll all become pediatricians.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, babies, hello.
But they come out, and you're like, it's got a penis. That's a boy.
Okay, we have to ban the teachers' union from delivery rooms.
Yes, we do, because they're gonna wait. They come out naked.
Yeah, and they already have their equipment formed. That you don't get to just pick it out of a catalog later. This is very confusing and weird to me, Monkey. Also, she's making the same case for cannibalism as she is for her gender ideology.
No, Jack. It was those damn Christians who came in and said, "Stop eating people," and made it. If we would just let cannibals be themselves, do you know how much their suicide rate would go down?
Do you know how advanced their society would be with all the delicious people they ate? I mean, New Guinea might just be like the epicenter of science and industry.
Yes.
Uncle Bosie's deliciousness would have inspired them to build rockets. Shit like that. I don't know. It's hard to make
communities.
jokes like this after a while.
We do not need to ban mom jeans. We just need to let me decide who can wear them.
I hope the answer is nobody.
No, it looks good on some.
That's, I suppose, but otherwise it makes them look like they have fupa and no ass.
Well, it's mostly worn by white chicks, so they don't have an ass.
Oh, yeah, fair point.
Prove the case.
Okay, but indigenous communities tend to be, I think, it's more archaic. It's more what it was before we brought in all these religious frameworks.
It was just the religious frame. You mean the indigenous ones who used to sacrifice people to gods?
Yeah, to the thunder god because they're terrified of the storm. What are you talking about?
But that wasn't religion. That's because what she really means to say is Abrahamic religions, which she'll get to here in a second.
Old things are better, like wallpaper with arsenic in it. That was a real thing.
Thank you, Rodline. It says, get rid of mom jeans too. No, I will not give up mom jeans on chicks who look hot in mom jeans.
I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
I'm not. Same thing with pajama pants. Some chicks look hot in that. Most of y'all are fat and need to put those things away when you go in public. You can wear them in private. I do it myself, but I don't go out in public because I look retarded when I go out in public in pajama pants.
I go to Walmart in my pajama pants. I blend in. It's like camouflage.
Frameworks. You're still talking about the Muslim world. You're still talking about an Abrahamic framework.
So what about?
We're talking about the West, right? But she's going to look. Still Abrahamic religions. Yep, that's the only reason. Before Muhammad had sex with a child and became a god for it. Not sure how that worked out.
Prophet, not a god.
Sure.
Whatever.
There was no male-female dichotomy in the Arab world.
Well, no, it was all because of Abraham. He set all that in motion. He was like, and God said there will be people with bonus holes and people with danglers.
Oh.
Yeah, this lady just hates Christians and Jews. Yeah.
The Chinese.
I don't know. I haven't looked into the Chinese enough about.
You've looked into Aboriginals, but not Chinese.
Yeah, you have very specific, a handful of specific cultures, but you haven't looked into any Asian traditions. Because, I mean, really, if you go through a lot of the Asian religions and structural setups, they have like eunuchs, and that's about it. And those are people that were punished. Like, you looked at the queen, time to cut your nuts off.
Do you realize how bad your argument is when you have to go, I didn't look at 1/7 of the population of the entire earth Instead, I looked at 0.0000001%.
Oh, it should be looking at a way higher percentage than that because India and China together is like 4 billion people.
I'm just talking China because she said she didn't look into China.
That's fair, but I'm guessing she didn't look into any of the old Tibetan or Shinto traditions because they didn't put up with that.
She didn't look anywhere there's written word.
Yeah, she's talking about like civilizations that we have no real record of, and we are literally just going off the word of some anthropologists.
Yep.
1.4 billion people.
But if you
this is why written language is important. Because if all you have is your oral traditions, the next storyteller, you don't even have to play a game of telephone. Forget that part of it. He could just lie to change things.
Yep.
When you only have this is why Martin Luther is so important to history, especially when you're talking about with the Christian religion, Jack.
Yeah, he had Post-it notes.
Because everybody else just took what the priest there said as gospel because they couldn't fucking read.
It was illegal to read Latin unless you were a priest or a member of the royals, noble of some kind.
Yeah. And so he's like, no, we need to pull the veil back on this shit because these guys can say whatever they want and attribute it to God, and we can't even question it.
Yeah, a lot of the fact that you can have a Bible in your home is attributed to Henry VIII because when he founded the Church of England, he abolished those laws. And he said, no, anybody can have a Bible so that we're not dependent on the Pope. That was a huge revelation. It was Martin Luther and Henry VIII that did all that. And say what you will about them, they're the ones that made it so that you get a free book every time you stay at a hotel.
Thank you, Tyrai. The Muslims keep pointing out Muhammad was listed in the book of Daniel when it's referencing Jesus. I'll get to that in a second. Also, considering Islam came 600 years after Jesus, yet claimed to be related to Abraham in Genesis because of him knowing his wife's handmaiden. Okay, doesn't Islam come
Islam
600
was 7th century. Yeah.
7th century. Yeah, okay. But as for Muhammad being listed in the book of Daniel, I'm not familiar with that at all, but isn't it possible that there was more than one Muhammad?
Well, they were referring to prophets in Daniel. They weren't specifically naming names, as I recall.
Huh.
So a lot of that is kind of finding what's not there, like in the penumbra.
But I mean, I feel like saying they mentioned Frank. Granted, the world population is a lot bigger than it is when Muhammad was around, but there were still several million people around. Maybe there was more than one.
Well, and like Jesus's name has been mistranslated. It's actually like Yeshua, which translate more to Joshua.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of mistranslations and confusion over that sort of thing. So if you don't speak Greek or Hebrew or one of the other archaic languages that nobody speaks anymore, then yeah, you're probably going to end up with a few minor mistranslations, but it doesn't negate the purpose of the story. It just means that some names are going to be different. Nobody in the Middle East was named Mary. They had a different name.
That's not
Hebrew.
True. She rode a donkey and was an illegal alien in Nazarene.
Yeah, she had to go home for the census.
Oh, I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying this. Mary in the original Donkey Show.
Oh, Jesus.
That's
Jesus
how it
rode
happened.
A donkey into the East Gate.
I apologize to all my Christian friends out there, but I don't mean it. I was just making a joke. Luckily, Christians usually can laugh.
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of have to, to turn that other cheek.
We looked into indigenous Chinese culture, that archaic before we had a lot of, China now is not a great example.
Go ahead.
She's obsessed with the past. Like, I need to go back to when people were like living in tiny villages and worship the sun. So otherwise, my point can't be proven. Why don't you look at like some of the more contemporaneous roots of a lot of this stuff, like burlesque shows and things like that, where a lot of this actually came from?
Evolve points out, very house joke. I'd forgotten about that episode. You're right. Yeah. I don't have a problem with her going into history. I have a problem with her going into very, very select and again, unverifiable history. I mean, it's bad enough having to deal with Rome Girl pretending that the written word, like, no, it was written in the what'd she say, 1600s?
Yeah, it's made by the Spanish Inquisition, and
yeah,
there's no Roman language. That's just Greek.
But at least there was something written down at that time. And she's like, no, these people who told stories that totally have never changed ever once, ever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like she's using unfounded, unprovable, select knowledge that is almost entirely stuff that was discovered, little bunny ears you can't see, in the last 30 or 40 years.
Maxine says, Monk, ever wonder what you're going to say when everyone else is asking you what you did to get sent to hell? I feel like the list at this point is so long.
Yeah.
I would just have to say pick one.
Well, let's face it. God's got a sense of humor or we wouldn't have the platypus.
True.
Thank you, Okie Native. Henry VIII, there's something to be said for wanting to get some strange during your marriage to your barren wife, wanting to marry the prego for raw dogging her, unintentional consequences. Now the Gideons that leave a Bible for when you're cheating. Well, the Gideons are kind of genius because if you're stealing the Bible out of the hotel room, clearly you didn't read that far in the book yet. You're going to get home and be like, oh.
Whoops. And that's pretty early on in the book. You should read more.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I think you'll understand why. Because of a fairly extreme regime with not great human rights. So I think what I'm trying to look at, if you
what I stepped on there, we paused it right as she was saying it. She doesn't look at modern China because they have a very strict regime. Modern China does have a very strict regime, but it's not like it was free will and wheeling the whole time until the communists took over.
Yeah, it's not like back in the days of the Emperor when there was an entire city nobody was allowed in called the Forbidden City.
Nope. I'm going to look at these tiny little populations and their totally real oral histories.
Yeah.
You really look at what I'm saying is that there are other frameworks that are perhaps more human, that are more...
This part, I forgot about the more human. You heard what she just said, right? Listen to this word again.
Look at what I'm saying is that there are other frameworks that are perhaps more human, that are more
human than human?
More human than the West or the East or anybody but the Aborigines.
Well, if their culture was so awesome, why is it like being conquered by these colonizers that have these stupid ideas? And
probably because they were all trans.
Well, if they had been out hunting, maybe they would have had better weapons.
She just said the Chinese aren't human. No, you misunderstood. None of us are human. The Aborigines are. That's it.
Now, I hate to correct you again.
Yeah, go ahead.
But Yakub said we're human when he created us in his laboratory in the Caucasus Mountains. He said, you're human. And Tariq Nasheed's like, no.
I'm not going to go into my rant about how the abos have weird titties and why. I'm just going to leave that for people to go dig and find.
It's part of their third gender.
They're less human. Well, they're less driven by controlling regimes or controlling religions.
I get it, but I don't think that makes them more human. If 99% of humans do A, it seems to me that A is more human.
You must know. You're a bright man.
I am.
He just made a really good point. If you're going to be fucking stupid and start throwing around terms like more human, the most human would be what the fucking norm is. And not just the norm, Jack, the overwhelming norm.
I misunderstood. I thought you said she said, you're a bright man. He said, I am. And then you said, he made a really good point.
Oh,
I agree.
Fast enough.
He seems pretty bright. I don't know.
Like I said, there are things I've disagreed with him on, but even then I can see his argument. I just think he's wrong.
Yeah.
You must know, you're a public intellectual. You must know that 99%, given the recent population boom of people under.
Why did she use air quotes for "of people"?
Well, some of them are reptilians. So you do the bunny ears because they're human, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Oh my, why do they keep trying to make me friends with my sister-in-law on Snapchat? I don't understand. I'm not friends with her in real life.
Because they want you to meet some more human people.
I guess.
Now, if these guys go out in the alley and find a box with some sunglasses that let them see the aliens, are they gonna finally understand her point?
Maybe.
Or is it like V, where you have to expose them on TV?
I'm really not sure because it's kind of weird. But hey, did you like how she told him, "You're a smart man. You're a smart man." When people say shit like that to you, what they're really saying is you're being stupid right now.
Yeah, or I thought you were smart, but you're really just a dummy because you're not believing exactly what I believe.
Draconian.
That's why I'm more honest about it. I'll just look at somebody and go, "You're dumber than I thought."
That's how you win friends.
of people under draconian governments, under draconian binary religious ideals, doesn't dwarf an indigenous culture that has been there. Australian Aboriginals are the oldest indigenous culture in the world. Do you know why there's so few of them? We killed them.
Yes.
We committed.
How many were killed? Australians, I'm sure you guys have to tattoo this on your asses in shame. How many abos did you guys kill? And I know you guys can't call them abos, but I'm American, so fuck it. Abos. How many did you kill? I'm curious.
Do you really count it when you kill not people?
I'm guessing so, because she knows.
Well,
it's a genocide.
Genocide. Oh, fuck off. Her arguments are so massively flawed. This is insulting to my intelligence, which I don't say very often.
Does she think Aboriginal people sprouted out of nowhere onto Australia?
Yes, they evolved on that spot. They were just like, boom, we're here. Because they're plant people with magic and melanin and souls. Unlike our Caucasoid brethren from the Caucasus Mountains. Thanks, Yakub.
Why were we able to do that? Why were we able to do that?
What are you implying?
I'm just asking you the question.
Are you implying because we're better?
No.
What are you implying?
We were technological.
The better culture, the more advanced culture tends to win.
Which is what he's about to bring up. But are you saying we're better? Yeah, I am. If you still live in a tribal life, I am probably better than you, yeah.
Yeah, because you're going to die at 35. If you're lucky, you'll live that long. You don't have vaccinations or medical care. You're probably going to get an infection and die.
I flush my waste.
Yeah. You don't wipe it with your hand and then go eat. Basic hygiene has helped us to live decades longer.
You live in a world where we literally send people into outer space, and you're still choosing to live in dirt and worship gods that could not possibly exist.
This is the Noble Savage thing repackaged.
Yes.
It's really disgusting because you are giving a lot of disservice to the natives that you're trying to amplify. You're artificially inflating them for things they didn't do. Maybe they did some things that were cool. A lot of like the stories and stuff like that are cool, but let's face it, if your civilization didn't have the wheel and somebody that had developed the wheel and iron came in, they're going to likely win because they need a lot fewer people and they have a lot better weapons.
I'm just asking you the question.
Are you implying because we're better?
No.
What are you implying?
We were technologically far more advanced. That's what I'm implying.
Look at her face, and that's how dare you say we were technologically more advanced?
Yeah, that
we
was
had guns.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, they had swords and guns, like really primitive guns, but cannons. And you're telling me that they're going to lose? Yeah, you might lose a few battles, but I'm sorry, you're going to win the war. You have overwhelming force, superior weaponry, and technology, and especially like if you look at today's standards, if we sent 5 Marines to an island that had a population of like 2,000 tribals, the Marines are probably going to fucking win. They have better training. They have knowledge of like medicine and technology and germ theory that the locals don't. Unless the locals get lucky, chances are they're going to get gunned down. It'll look like the opening of Suicide Squad.
What's not clear about that?
So you're saying...
I'm saying we were technologically more advanced. Would you
So you're
disagree
saying
with
we're
that?
superior to Australian Aboriginals?
That's quite...
Technologically, yes, 100%. What part of that? You're saying we're better? Yes. Yes.
Yeah. In the technological aspect, did she never play Civilization? There's different tech trees. Like you have your technological advancements, you have your like societal advancements. Look, the Egyptians built the pyramids, but you know what? They're not around like they used to be. It's a different society now. Real quick, thank you, Evolved Potato. We actually aren't taught how many were killed because 99.99% killing of abos were done by either self-defense or in retaliation for mass murder of innocent people. We had a very hard time teaching them that killing others for no reason is bad. Well, from what I've read, the intelligence quotient is a little bit of a sliding scale.
The opposite of what I'm saying. I'm not saying we were superior. I'm saying we were technologically more advanced.
So how is that the opposite?
Superior implies a moral.
You don't know the difference between I'm better than you and I have better equipment than you? Didn't she say she went to college? I mean, in fairness, she didn't say she graduated or learned anything, I guess.
Yeah, well, maybe she was just visiting, like wandered across the campus. Like,
She's starting
lived in a building.
She's starting to make me think orphans are bad people.
Well, genetically inferior, perhaps.
Just kidding, y'all. I'm a bastard. I can make that joke.
Yeah, but you're not an orphan.
I am now.
Your parents did die to get away from you.
Somebody actually told me my mom died to get away from me once.
Wow, that's fucking rude.
It was my wife.
Wow.
We were arguing. I didn't take it personal.
No, I mean it's a low blow, but I mean all's fair in love and war, right?
Yeah, it was fucked up. I actually got a little respect for her for saying that one. Anyway.
Quality. I'm not making any moral implication. You seem to be, but
Okay.
what I'm saying is,
I think most people would hear it that way.
No,
Again,
I didn't
you're a
hear
very
it that way.
intelligent man. How would most people hear that?
most people would hear what I'm saying for what I'm saying, which is
Don't think they would.
Somebody who
I think most people would hear what I'm saying and take it for what I'm saying. I don't think they would.
Well, she has a very anti-Western bias.
Doesn't that encapsulate everything she said?
Yeah, she's just anti-Western. So she's against all the colonization. Notice how she's focused on the Christian era, which advanced quite a bit of society. The Romans did a lot of good work, but then they fell and we went into the Dark Ages until the rise of really the Enlightenment, and we had a lot more like Renaissance period, and a lot of that was due to Christian structuring, guidance from that. But that's a long argument, and she is just blatantly disregarding any Western advancement whatsoever.
Oh yeah,
She's probably one of those people that think that the Arabs invented algebra, which they did. That was Greeks.
Sorry, I was burping.
Oh.
Comes my mother's South America, and I have indigenous heritage. I don't see it that way. A lot of my grandmother's ancestors were wiped out by the conquistadors, whether it's by they came in, executed them, or it was disease brought in by conquistadors.
Yeah. So
I don't interpret it that way, if I'm being honest.
So what's the point of this question then?
The point of this question is
because we came in with our better gendered binaries,
No,
and
sorry.
therefore we were
Deborah,
able to
this
kill
is going
them.
to work a lot better.
That's probably not what he's getting at. I don't remember what his point was on this. I have seen most of this part here, Jack. I haven't watched the whole video past, probably about right here. But maybe that is it, lady. Wouldn't that fuck her whole world up? Let's, for argument's sake, that say that all abos are gender non-forming.
I mean, look, if he came out and said that having a third gender is a sign of civilizational decay.
Son of a bitch. I got cut off there. I'm sorry. My internet dropped.
No, that's okay. I filled in for you with some really offensive statements. Don't worry.
Appreciate it. Dangerous. Thank you. Oh, for fuck's sake, lady. One, actually, we did a lot to try civilizing them. Two, how many deaths were genocide versus conflicts? I'm guessing you meant three. Even if these tribes had the transes, how small is the trans percentage of said tribes? Yeah, she doesn't care about that part at all, because they remember her thing here is only that there's precedent, not that there's precedent of a majority or even a recognizable minority of them, just that they did exist.
You're talking about a percentage so minuscule it would barely exist in any tribe.
Well,
because
hell,
the
Jack,
populations are always so small in these tiny little indigenous populations that she's talking about.
I grew up in cities. Everywhere I went to school, there were tons and tons of kids until we moved up here when I was in 11th grade. Okay.
Okay.
In my entire school life, there was a tomboy or a girly boy. One little, I was going to say the F slur, not allowed to. One little sissy. There wasn't like a gang of tomboys running around. There was a tomboy, right?
Yeah.
How many were in your neighborhood? Were there like 40 tomboys running around?
No, we had like two.
Yeah.
It's like the openly gay kids. We had like one openly gay kid and one kid everybody knew was gay, but nobody said anything.
Uh-oh, did I just drop again?
Yeah, that was you.
Okay.
I'm blaming you. I don't know.
Either way, I mean, the point being, I mean, even in our Western society, as close as you can get to the definition of this made-up sister-brother thing, we don't have that in our society. And not even on the trans side of it, Jack. Just girls or boys who don't fit the norm for the area they are.
Yeah. Well, and she's not even addressing like the gay population. Like, how many people were gay in these populations? Because statistically, if most of these tribes are like fewer than 1,000 people, you don't have many gays. Just because the genetic pool is so small.
Mm-hmm. No. They totally repopulated their tribe over and over again, all being homosexual.
Yeah, everybody knows that the Catholic priests invented homosexuality. Too soon?
No, you're good.
Sorry, Catholics. It's just easy.
At the point I'm making instead of
and we will take the easy joke almost every time.
Yeah, pretty much, because we're children.
Yes.
Really cannot understand what it could possibly be other than we are better.
Well, let me explain it to you.
Well, he literally said we're technologically better. Hey, lady, if you have one guy with a really well-built spear and another guy with an Uzi, who's your money going on?
Are they mining Bitcoin?
No.
Oh.
Just in a fight to the death.
Oh. mean tweets wins every time.
Fuck.
What it could possibly
Please.
be. And
What's it got to do with the gender binary?
your argument, we're just talking about the argument, and you seem to get quite heated about this, which is completely unnecessary.
She's not heated at all, Jack. When she sat back and gave him the death stare, that was love in her eyes.
Yeah, she is taking this out of the realm of intellectual debate and into the realm of you're hurting my feelings now.
We had guns, they had sharp stones tied to sticks. Yeah.
Oh, you think it's necessary?
I
love that he just she's trying to play up. I'm not mad. Instead of that, he went to, you think it's necessary? Oh, Constantine, I can hug you.
A bit stunned by what you're implying.
No, you're acting in a kind of passive aggressive way, which indicates that you're not
I
happy.
genuinely am being 100% authentic. My visceral reaction.
You can be authentic and be passive aggressive. You're just passively aggressive as a normal person. That's that is authentically the kind of bitch that you are. Would you have trouble believing that she's like this in her normal life, Jack?
I mean, you know,
I'm betting not most of the time, because I'm betting she doesn't get challenged very often.
Well, she doesn't have any children, so.
White man sitting and saying to me, and why were we able to commit genocide on them? And then just pausing.
Yes.
Is very visceral to me.
Let's go back. First of all, it's interesting that you brought up my skin color, because I thought that was the exact opposite of what the point you're trying to make in the book. But anyway, let's come back to the argument.
You haven't read my book, so you wouldn't.
They're British. Passive aggressive is what they do.
They're really good at it too.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know what the point is.
You said that the point of your book is
he's calling her out. Michael, if you've never watched Trigonometry, especially when there's somebody on they disagree with, you should watch it. This is him. This is one of those British people. I mean, he's ethnically Russian, Jack. He was born in Russia, but they moved to the UK early in his life. And he has that British spirit of like, what you just said is stupid. Now I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you in a very academic, kind of smart way.
Yeah. And I'm there for it, man.
You can tell he's not native British because he has better teeth and his eyes are sunken in. That Russian sadness. You know, like, I've seen shit, man. Like all Russians have.
Yes.
It's all about you can't say this as a this person and whatever. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
You're very reductive. I thought you were a lot more intellectual than this.
I think this is very revealing, but let's come back to the argument.
I love when they're passive aggressive to each other. It makes me laugh.
The argument you were making was that the Aboriginal society and other indigenous societies, as you call them, were more human because whatever reason, and they were therefore models for emulation.
I don't think I said more human. I said
there's a reason I made y'all watch that twice. I don't think I said more human. Literally what you said. You were fine saying more human about the Aboriginal, but him suggesting that we were more technologically advanced. Hey, what the fuck is wrong with you, bigot? Just because you're bigoted in favor of a group that you're not part of doesn't make you less of a bigot. Just saying. White lady.
There is something fundamentally human.
You said more human. Yeah.
There's something fundamentally of how humans are before there's a whole heap of religious imposition and a whole heap of totalitarian imposition.
I'm not familiar with Aborigines, so maybe it's different for them. But here in the U.S., our indigenous and all along the Americas, Jack, North and South, our indigenous Chinese people all had strict structures, strict religions. I mean, some of them literally sacrificed people to appease their gods.
Yeah. Yeah, most civilizations, especially primitive ones, have some sort of religion. Now, it's usually to explain how things work.
Sure.
That they don't understand. You know why the weather is the way it is, why we have tornadoes. It's God's punishing us, clearly. Well, why do the crops grow? Well, it's because we sacrifice these kids to the gods, you know.
You know what else they all had? Power structures.
What?
With a leader. They didn't have a council of elders. There was one dude who like, I'm in charge, motherfucker.
You mean like a man? Ew. Ew, he had a dangler. Oh.
They often use this word that we sometimes use these days, chief. That you know what chief means, right? No, before the white man came, it was just free roaming communist. They were free range communist Indians.
It was the Utopia monkey of the noble savage.
I want to know the books they're reading, just not to read them myself, but just to laugh at them when I see them.
They're reading each other's papers about this stuff, like the conceptual penis. You know, they're reading all these left-leaning academic works. They're not reading anything that has any actual real history to it. Because, and again, like she's picking a bunch of tribes that we don't know their history.
I can't even speak again. I can't speak to the Aborigines, but here in the U.S., I mean, the kind of things that you said were more human before the Christians got here included things like slavery and rape and torture. Do you know what a scalping is? Do you know what a horrible way that is to die? They didn't kill him and then scalp him. You guys know that, right? The scalping was how they killed. Ritual sacrifice. That was more human, Jack.
No, monkey. You see, none of that stuff happened until Whitey showed up on the shores. It was everybody just got along, and like one big happy Iroquois nation. Nobody ate each other, or raped, or murdered, or enslaved anybody else. No, that's a Whitey thing.
And that's what I'm saying. I think we can learn a lot from indigenous societies. I don't think you can say there's fewer of them, therefore they don't count.
That's not what I said.
When they were...
I didn't say they don't count. What I said is if 99% of a population, if 99% of pandas eat bamboo shoots, it's fair to say that eating bamboo shoots is the standard panda behavior. It's the more panda behavior than the 1% or the 0.1% that eat dog turds for a living.
Okay, so what about if pandas had been in an artificial environment for a long time and couldn't get bamboo shoots?
What? What is she talking about? Are we like trapped in a biodome now?
I think she's back to being sad about shit that never happened in her life.
Yeah, we've really drifted off. Like, what if they can't get to the bamboo shoots? Then they're not going to eat bamboo shoots, you fucking retard. That doesn't mean they don't eat them. It just means you lock them away from... What are you talking about now?
Oh,
fucking idiot. Also, I did like that he used a reference to the Chinese, which are communists, so she could understand the analogy.
And we're eating something else. But I could show you that pandas originally, and some pandas for thousands of years, the oldest pandas in the world live in Australia, and those pandas still eat bamboo shoots and always have done. That would be something interesting for you as an intellectual, wouldn't it?
Okay, so she's trying to make the argument that 99% of the world's population has been locked away from being transsexual. And only the abos had the ability to be transsexual, and that's why they're better than us.
I hate to correct you, monkey, but she just made the space alien analogy that Ask Yourself did. Well, if space aliens came down and said your food, how would you feel about that?
I have to correct you. That wasn't him. That was Vegan Gaines' argument.
Oh, whatever. Yeah. They're both the same person. Let me grab a couple things real quick. Thank you, Tyrai. Jack, how dare you put down that heroic black samurai back in the Sengoku period of Japan? He wasn't a samurai, so I will put him down because he's a fictional character at this point. Yeah, he was just some sword bearer, probably a slave, and may have been a eunuch on top of that. And thank you, Evolved Potato. She's calling abos more human is kind of funny since they're literally the farthest removed from the rest of humanity. True. Probably why we discovered nearly all of their genes are recessive. That's a fact. which is why Australia nearly bred them out.
This is why I didn't go on my rant earlier.
Yeah, it's not something people like to talk about, but they're probably closer to Neanderthals, which we did breed out.
Snooch asks, are the trans people bamboo or pandas? Your guess is as good as mine. But for the record, ask yourself's argument was, what would need to be present in an animal that would make it to where it wouldn't be okay to kill it? Never let it be said that I don't pay attention to the arguments of my retarded enemies.
Oh, that argument was like 7 or 8 years ago at this point, so I forgot which one of those retards said what. Because I listened to that and I was like, I can't believe you're talking to these people for this long. I'd have hung up by now. I'd be like, this is stupid. If you're on a desert island and you can only eat a retard or a cow, that was the funniest fucking shit.
When he said that he would eat the retard, I was happy.
I laughed so hard at that.
Hey, at least he was consistent, man.
Yeah. This lady makes me want to go back to drinking.
The fact that pandas at 1.8, but something other than bamboo shoots. I mean, your idea that everything since the Aboriginals is an artificial environment. Well, those societies were artificial in their own way too.
Yeah, I'm
true.
Not saying anything as rigid as what you're imposing onto me. I'm talking through.
You rigidly said that they were better people.
No, they were more human.
Well, that would be better people.
Well, they're just not. No, because the others are less human.
Lesser people, yes.
Yeah, so it's not just that they're better, it's that they're more like the original.
Things and around things. Right.
Did you have one?
No, I'm just irritated with this stupid bitch.
Yeah.
This is some ideas in a book
So
of
I'm
ideas.
exploring your ideas with you.
In a way, though, what you're doing is you're going, you've said this thing, and this thing isn't everything. And
I believe you're the one in absolutes here, lady.
This is why I pointed out earlier that her one statement encapsulates everything she's saying. You're taking my words and saying you said this. Well, yeah. Because most of us don't go around guessing what the other person is saying. It is a woman thing. I know what you really meant. You said you liked dinner, but I heard the way you said it. Thank you, Dangerous. This woman is so fucking stupid. Even saying fundamentally human means you are defining human and saying colonizers don't fall under that definition, aka more human, bloody hell, lady. No. She didn't mean anything like that, because she would never say some humans are more human than the other, because that would be wrong.
Even though she said exactly that.
She literally said the words. We're not even taking her out of context here. They are more human.
so I would love it if we could genuinely talk.
I'm trying.
And you could.
I'm trying to address your argument.
How do you have a genuine conversation when your problem is him addressing what you literally said? Anybody got? There's women in the audience. Can you guys pay attention? Is she being a woman here or just stupid? Because I'm gonna be honest, I can't tell, because I've argued with women before and it's gone like this a lot.
Yeah, I'm not going to respond to that because I'll get us in trouble.
Okay. And hashtag not all women. I'm talking stereotypical women here, because I've had conversations and even arguments with intelligent women. Both of them. Yeah, I have.
Right?
And for anybody, he's only saying that because his wife is listening. My wife doesn't listen to this show.
She doesn't listen to this shit. She has standards.
I gave you 4 arguments in response to the things that you said.
And we've only really got to one.
Well, yes, because you got upset at me saying something about the Aboriginals.
But what were you meaning by that? What were you meaning by why were we able to?
I already told you what I meant by that.
Because you brought you know what? I'm done, Jack. We're just going to stop there.
Oh, thank you.
Guys, I will throw this in the chat if you want to watch the rest of this thing. And remember, we missed the first almost 20 minutes of this.
I wouldn't say we missed it.
For
I'd
people
say
who
we
are
were
interested.
smart enough to skip it.
This is how the whole thing is. And that's almost about where I stopped watching myself before, because I just couldn't take it. You're literally upset at him responding to what you said out of your own. He didn't take you out of any context. You know what I mean? It would be one thing, Jack, if they were having this discussion and he was taking her out of context and she was getting frustrated because she's trying to make a point. The problem is, and this happens with a lot of people when you're arguing with them and they have a bad point, they cannot get it through their head why you think they're stupid. Doesn't matter how many ways you explain it to them, because they're never going to get it, because it is fundamentally human to just think you're right. Nobody runs around going, 2 + 2 is 5, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about that, or I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. No, nobody's proudly stupid. I mean, they are stupid and for some reason proud, but they're not out there specifically showing, look how wrong I can be. Most people think, no, I'm right. That's why I say the stupid shit I say. They don't know they're dumb. Thank you, Okie Native. Lady Monkey listens to the show for Jack. No, you're thinking of Munchkin.
Yeah, she's got class and taste, but she listens to this. It's sort of like slumming it for her, I think.
The feminists are still out there, and they are still behind most of what's going on, Jack, because the communists realize that if you get the women on board, boy, whoo, doggy.
Yeah. It's depressing, though.
And we moved on from man spreading to abos are more human than the rest of us.
I mean, if you ask them, and I'm sure their genetic scientists are right on it.
I'm sure they are. I wonder what happened to the population that was on Australia before the abos got there.
They probably got killed by the abos.
Probably. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming and hanging out with us today. Thank you so much for the donation. You guys are so kind. And I'm sorry I introduced you to that, but it is nice to check in on the feminists once in a while and say, oh yeah, they're still stupid.
It's true.
Jack, anything you want to show?
I'll drop some links to some cool videos. Thank you so much for all the donations and support you give us. You guys are awesome. It's really nice to see all these familiar faces out there.
Monk says she's incredibly stupid and she's disingenuous. Yeah. Look, I don't think she doesn't know what she's saying is wrong. This is the difference between evil and stupid. She knows she has to dress it up, because if she was honest about it, then all of her arguments fall apart. And that's where you switch over from stupid to bad. I know she knows that her arguments are bad, because she kept catching herself almost saying the right thing. She almost spoke reality a couple of times and had to stop and go, what I mean to say.
They're more human than human.
Yeah. And that more human than the rest of you bullshit of hers was a slip. She didn't mean to say it.
No.
But she meant it emphatically.
Yeah, she said it a couple times, but what she really meant was that primitive societies are better people than Western civilization.
And again, I'll have to study up on the abos, because I don't know what their primitive culture was like when the Brits first land there and they're drinking gasoline and lighting sofas on fire. But when it comes to the Americas, they were savage. And in fairness to them, I mean, it's not like our ancestors, Jack, and the European side of things were always civilized.
No, I mean, that's something that takes place over many, many centuries.
Yeah.
You have to have the right set of circumstances. A lot of places don't advance because they don't have to. There's no challenge to what they're doing. So necessity is the mother of invention. If you're not constantly having to overcome different things, then yeah, why would your civilization advance?
So a lot of their savagery was dealing with their neighbors, protecting their tribes, and then
you're talking about like hundreds of tribes all scattered around. they're constantly under the threat of warfare. Well, if you don't have like the Mayans and the Aztecs actually were advancing because they had stable environments for a while.
Yes.
They weren't at warring with anyone except conquering people that are way lower than them, or extorting them with potatoes like the Mayans, I think it was, did, or the Incas, because that's where we got potatoes with South America. But they had this recipe for making them last longer by mashing them, and then they'd give them to like neighboring tribes, and then when they got like hooked on them more or less, they were like, all right, you're part of our society now. And they're like, no, and they're like, well, no more food for you. And they'd given up their own farming, and they're like, oh, I guess we're part of your group now.
Dangerous said Aboriginals were peaceful people who had war dances.
Yeah. Yeah, and weapons, they're brutally murder people. Like boomerangs.
Again, I don't judge them other than by our modern sensibilities, Jack, because they did what they could to survive.
Yeah.
And it was brutal. There's no other word for it, but fucking brutal. And the noble savage thing, like, they were so peaceful, and it was just a white man who came in with his Jesus that fucked everything up. Get fucked. That's just not history. That's not
that's bullshit commie nonsense. They weren't sitting around painting and writing books. No, they were fighting to survive every day.
Yeah. So again, I'm not even saying that we're better people like she did, but technologically, we advanced because of structure. You ever see what happens when you just give somebody like a Lego set or something, and you give another person the instructions for that Lego set and see what they build?
Yeah. It's usually a mess.
Yeah, there's something to be said for organization. The idea that you can just free roam everything is fucking retarded.
Yeah, if you just hand like one group a pile of Legos and say, hey, build a castle, and then you give a second group the instructions, one group's going to turn out way closer than the other. And it's the guys with the instructions because they're able to pass the information along.
But no, the people without the written word, they're totally the ones that we should be emulating, Jack.
Yeah.
How come
Sumer?
How come it never? It's only with stupid shit like trans, right? It's never any of their other customs. Like this lady's not out there going, we should be celebrating Apollo. We need to be praying to Mars for a good war in Ukraine.
Well, I mean, because if you look back at the ancient gods, they were kind of dicks.
They absolutely were.
Like Athena created the Gorgons, when Medusa got raped in her temple. She punished Medusa, who was one of her acolytes. She punished her because she's like, how dare you have sex in my temple? And turned her into a creature with snakes in her hair that would turn any man she looked at to stone because she was the victim of a violent assault. Yeah. So, Theseus was a rapist. There's a lot of fucked up stuff back then. But, they don't want to praise those traditions.
This woman she was Australian? I didn't realize that. She's an Australian comedian. She was adopted by Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, well,
that's why she hates Jesus.
Hence her hatred of Jesus. You'd think she'd like him more. Being adopted made her life as good as it is.
Yeah, but you never spend a lot of time around Jehovah's Witnesses.
She probably doesn't have a degree, as it says. She attended Oxford Uni, but doesn't say she graduated. Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Oopsie.
Well, given her answers to a lot of that, it makes sense that she didn't graduate, if I'm being honest. All right, guys, that's it. Jack, a pleasure as always, my friend.
Always glad to be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves. We love you. See you next time. Bye now.
Bye, everybody.
Abos and their little crusty small. Oh, wait, hang on. Thank you, Tyra. It's all about romanticizing things that are absolutely horrible in real life. Oh, yeah, that is a ton of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to pretend I actually had a song and it just got interrupted.